Snafu. Situation normal. All fouled up. This is Snafu.
All right, welcome to another episode of Snafu. I'm Rick, your host. With me is Dale.
Hey, guys.
Pat.
Good evening.
And Jeff.
Howdy, howdy.
We're going to cover a bunch of things tonight. We have some hobby updates. We have some tournament stuff for Operation Snafu. We're actually going to talk about some products that we've kind of encountered in the last couple months too. And then our big topic of the night is the Partisans. So we will cover them in depth when we get to them. So let's start out with hobby updates. I think primarily all of us right now are probably neck deep in terrain. So why don't we kind of give a rundown of what we're working on right now. So Dale, you want to lead us off with what you're working on right now?
Sure. So I'm responsible for two of the boards that we'll be playing on at Operation Snafu. The first board
I like how you threw in responsible for. As though we're all making you do it.
It's all forced. Yeah, you're committed. You committed.
I'm committed to it, and I feel responsible for that commitment, which is...
I'm okay with that. That's good. I'm just saying. Make it sound like, we'd loaded up an SMG and said, Dale, 2 boards now.
Yeah,
go.
There isn't anything being pointed at me yet, but after this update, that might change. So I'm I'm building a Tank Wars. Basically, it's just kind of a countryside board using one of the cigar box mats. And the idea is it's going to have a bunch of wrecked tanks on it. And so I'm starting to map that out in regards to... I picked up a couple of pieces of kit, some bocage, and some stone walls and some low town walls. I'm still looking for a building I want to put on that. And then I've got 8 tanks ready to go, and I got to pick up another 8 or so, and we'll see how much time lets me go above and beyond that. So basically, just a big battlefield with a bunch of ruined tanks is the idea there. As far as what's complete, I've got quite a bit of the supplies, and I did complete the low town walls to kind of see how those looked. There's a picture of that up on the Facebook page.
I was to say, you painted those even, so they look pretty spectacular.
Yeah, they turned out real well. We'll talk about that kit when we get to the terrain stuff. But
yeah, right on. And
the other board is the town hall or the city center board, and so the idea is that I've got a mat, and it's just a cobblestone mat. The whole mat is just cobblestone, and the idea that I wanted to go with is to create a bunch of city blocks in a modular fashion that I could shift, move around, space out differently, so there's a lot of different ways that it can be set up, and hopefully it will work for a bunch of different scenarios. And so my basing for all of these city blocks is 12-inch square plastic card boards, and I'm putting ruined buildings on them and edging them with like sidewalks. So I've got 2 of those 12-inch square blocks built, and I'm painting them right now. And I've got the next set of 2 built and primed, and then I put together a bunch of what I'm calling parkways or boulevards. So basically they're 4-inch by 12-inch sections of trees and sidewalk that can join together in different ways. So you can have just 2 end-to-end, so you've got 2 feet of like parkway. And the idea is it's going to break up all the blocks, so there's green space in between them. And I've got connectors built so you can do a plus sign of them joined together, little extenders here and there. And so those are built and primed as well. And then I've got the rest of the buildings constructed, but none of the basing. So I've got more orders out to Amazon to pick up more foam and plastic card and these little tiles I'm using for the sidewalk. So I'm getting started. I've been hobbying every night here for the past week and a half or so, and I think that will continue up until the tournament probably to get all this done. So,
have you ordered enough from Amazon? They start giving you reorder requests? Like, are you ready to reorder this yet, Dale? Are you ready to reorder this?
And I'm used to seeing all this stuff, and I had to order some more black lava actually, because I've gone through 2 jars of that already.
Black lava? What do you use that for?
Vallejo. It's this textured.
Oh, sure.
It's that black textured paint.
Gotcha. Yep. Yeah, I've seen that.
So
cool stuff.
It's great. It's great in the spacing around. I don't know if you saw the picture, but I built like sandbag emplacements and stuff like that.
Yeah, I saw those. That looks great.
And so it's good around those joining together the ruined building. So the idea is a lot of this stuff has collapsed in on itself, and so I've got tons of rubble and stuff like that. I think I might have just gone too detailed with this because I find myself it's taking a lot of time to build and paint the whole thing. But again, I want these to look great and the folks to have a great time playing on them. So we'll see what happens. But it's good. It's good. I've been productive so far.
I find it hard to believe that you went too detailed on it, knowing you and seeing the rest of your terrain, that your detail is everything. I even remember back to your Skaven and Warhammer Fantasy, the cobblestones you carved on every single base of 150 rats.
Yeah.
That hurt my soul a little bit.
Yeah. So, but again, it's one of those things. I find that if I can get into the groove, then I can pound it out, and I kind of have to at this point in time. We're like 3 months out, and I've got to get this done. So
we're in hard crank mode at this point. I was going to say I found it interesting that you're painting some of your buildings before you paint all your buildings. Are you going to paint them different colors and stuff? Then I take it.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So I want. I have to. The color choice and composition of the table is important, and I'm afraid that if they're all the same, I really like that kind of sand color that the Lowtown walls came out looking like, because I can shade those really effectively, and it contrasts really nicely to the red brick, which I can put in the windowsills. And so I'll do a few like that, but I'm afraid if I do everything like that, it'll be too samey.
Sure.
So I've got a couple different other kind of other ideas for some of the other buildings. So.
Similarly contrasting themed paint schemes. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm excited. So.
Right on. Yeah. So then we can move on to Pat. Pat, what are your tables looking like right now?
Well, I posted the one where I have the fuel depot, which I think you and Kevin tested on last week.
Correct.
And that's, other than got a little feedback on some of it. The layout might change a little bit, but the terrain is set for that board. So what you guys saw would pretty much be it. Just do a little more coloring on some of the huts and whatnot. And then I've also got, of course, the Pegasus Bridge, which I have pretty much everything done except for the bridge, which is,
only the centerpiece.
Only 70% of the terrain on the board, but nonetheless. All the rest of the buildings are done. I finished that up last night, and I got some. Now, just to put this out there, I am not doing a recreate of the Pegasus Bridge from World War II. That was certainly an option in the kit that they gave me, but I set it up that way and had, I think, Miles and Rocky played a game on it, and it was truly lent itself really heavy to one side of the bridge having good terrain and the other side not. So I've tweaked this a little bit so it's, quasi-historical, if that's even a term you can throw out there. So I've kind of done it so there's going to be a little more good even cover for both sides, but there's still a clear decided advantage to one side or the other. So getting, of course, that roll for table edge will have something, but it's not an auto-win advantage like it really seemed like it was when Rocky played that.
I think that's called historical fiction.
See episode...
Sure.
12, is it even out yet?
Yeah, I think we covered that one.
Oh, we did. It was episode 11. Yeah, it was a French episode where we talked about Sharknado. Right,
for much longer than we needed to. I'm sure
that sounds about right. Yeah.
Hey, that came out. It was better than I thought. So it was
Maybe
still awful. But
that should be the title of the next one that we put out. Better than
I thought.
Better than I thought. Yeah, I told my wife, I bet there's time travel in this because there's nothing else they can do that's insane, and there was. So
awesome.
Okay, we're gonna have to put a spoiler on this for all those people that want to see Sharknado 5.
4.
4. Oh, it's only 4.
3. What?
No, it was 5. Sharknado
was
5.
Yeah, it was 5.
Yeah, global swarming.
I'm behind. Yeah. Oh, I just told. Oh, man.
Global swarming.
Yep.
Wow.
All right, we've now dedicated too much time to this one again in the next episode.
Well, no, now at this point it's just tradition and we have a quota to hit every time.
Fair enough. So. Well, I mean, MGM is giving us money
What?
No, I'm
What?
kidding.
You're not sharing.
It's the Sci-Fi
It's-
Channel.
it's
a
freaking-
decidedly
it's-
smaller budget.
The
It's
Siffy?
it's freaking Monopoly money. It's not actual money.
Oh, it could be Canadian. I don't know.
That's
all colored.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway,
keep
so
going.
yes.
Do you have any more tables?
So that covers the Pegasus Bridge. That one's pretty good. And I've got 2 Western Europe. I'm going to do one kind of countryside, hills, woods, some farmland, stuff like that. And then I'm going to do one more of a kind of a Normandy city board sort of style. So I have 2 different Western Europe boards. And all in all, I'm certainly much further along than Dale is. I would say I'm actually roughly about 75% complete on all 4 of the boards that I have going for Renegade.
That's fantastic, Pat.
So
Pat can knock out like 3 or 4 more, and then none of the rest of us have to do any.
Yeah, it beats
Right?
my 5% complete.
Right?
So
Right? Right?
well, again, remember that there's certainly a talent level variation between what Dale's putting out and what I put out. I mean, I'm not going to put something I think looks like garbage. I think looks pretty good, but the measure and quality and talent behind what some other people do, like the John Stentzes and the Dale Barts of the world, and I'm not there. I'm not going to pretend to be, but I still think myself.
the gap is closing significantly.
Yeah, I
so
was going to say, I think you're getting a lot closer than you think you are.
you keep putting in the
We'll
time,
get you
Pat,
closer.
and you're going to be right there. So
We'll get you
don't
closer.
have far to go.
Well, I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
quite honestly,
That-
I have fun doing all this terrain, so that's
Right?
more so.
Yeah,
than
the
anything.
fuel depot bridge or board I thought looked great. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I loved
excited, so.
playing on it. It was a very good board to play on. We'll get to that in a minute, too.
Good. Well, the only thing I'm going to do different with that is I'm actually going to change the mat that was on because I felt that mat was just really dark and all the
Okay.
terrain was dark. So
Sure.
there was that Badlands mat that we had that Renegade was setting up a bunch of orders for. Jeff, you remember
Sure.
that one?
I sure do.
So
The lighter sand one?
Yep. So I'm going
Okay.
to throw that mat down and see how that looks because I think that's going to help the contrast to make the terrain pop a little more. I felt the terrain was kind of underpowered by the dark mat.
Yeah.
If
I
that
mean,
makes
which is
sense.
probably more historically accurate is that like they probably made the buildings and stuff kind of blend in with the surroundings so they don't get bombed quite as often. But I could see your point. It did blend in a little bit.
And
I would like to see that Badland mat and see if that works.
yeah, you don't want the terrain to become a hindrance when you're trying to play a game, where you're like, oh crap, I
Right.
totally missed, I didn't see that ridge line there, I totally missed it, You don't want to run into
Right.
that.
No,
So
absolutely,
It should
yeah.
stand out a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I don't disagree from a standpoint of gameplay. I'm just they tend to paint the buildings the same color as everything else. Like the roofs of buildings were all white.
Right.
Or whatever.
Yeah, so that,
Yeah.
or the like matching cloud and sky and ground and all that
Right.
kind of stuff.
They're
which
trying to camouflage them as best they can, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah,
Cool.
So, and I've got some little trinkets and odds and ends. Ordered a bunch of, Warlord. You don't order something for like 3 weeks and they send you a 15% off coupon. You feel obligated to use it, so I did. So I ordered a whole bunch of like sand bunker, or the little sand barricades, and a bunch of the little fuel depot things. I'm gonna stack those up, throw a little cargo net over it, just to kind of help tie in the flavor of the board a little bit more. So there's some fine touches that, since I'm at this stage of completion, I can go back and kind of get these little fine touches thrown in there. And I do
Right.
have all my objective markers made for 2 of the boards. They're tailored very specific. For the Pegasus Bridge, I've got some really cool. Basically, I did like little boxes of TNT, and then just from like scrap parts I had around, so I was kind of impressed with those. And then I got just some fuel barrels lying around for oddly enough, the fuel depot. And I may reuse some of those just because they're really easy to throw together for the other 2 boards. Because I know we our scenarios, hint hint, have objectives to them. Big shock. But yeah, that's where I'm sitting. 4
Cool.
boards could do more, but you know what? It doesn't need to be the Pat Moline terrain at the Renegade. I think
Kind of
4
already
enough.
is, to be fair. But that's okay. We're gonna make do here.
Well, when we jumped into it, I had a heck of a head start with terrain than you guys did.
A couple of you and Jeff actually had been making terrain already, just for our club to have tables to play on.
Yep.
Which was very beneficial for all of us. So that's awesome. So yeah, it kind of led ourselves right into this where we kind of had a little bit of a head start. Not all of us, but we had a couple tables kind of already designated, so that was kind of helpful, which is nice. All right, Jeff, what are you? I don't know if you've even been working on any right now, or because you've been kind of
God, yeah.
traveling.
Yeah, I've been traveling, but I was getting all my stuff assembled and primed that needs to go. The Partisan board is done. I've got all of that painted and ready to go on my Partisan board. So that's awesome. I'm pretty happy with that. The artillery board, I'm doing, spoiler alert, that's going to be an objective board. All 3 objective capture points are done, and I think they look pretty good. I needed a couple extra scenery pieces for it that are a very specific make, so when I was on one of my trips, we rattled off a number of 22 rounds, so I'd have some shell casings. I know that sounds weird, but they look really good next to the artillery piece I have.
It sounds like a lot of fun just to make those
Wait,
pieces.
It was, in fact.
Did you take those on a plane back then?
No, that was on a driving trip.
Okay, all right, good. That's probably
Wise
That
choice.
was on a driving trip, yeah.
I was a little concerned all of a sudden. I'm like, oh, Jeff. Okay.
No, TSA already loves me. I don't want to make friends with one of the dogs.
With you and your knife collections?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
That you have to ship back to yourself every once in a while?
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, so. No, it was fine. So, yeah, so I got a lot of stuff done, and I had a lot of terrain pieces done. And what I'm doing right now is kind of upgrading. I had a few from, who makes them? Plasticraft games that, while I think they look really nice on a club table, I don't know if they look good on, like, a table I would show to someone else. Does that make sense?
Which one?
No, I totally get what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. All right.
They're the 2-story townhouse buildings they have where you can pull them off and the ruins are there at the bottom.
Right.
It's kind of a cool feature. It's fun when you're playing a game. They look okay, but I really feel like these, the MDF buildings just look better.
Yeah, because those are like printed foam core. So like the edges are all white. Like
yes,
and a good sneeze would knock them off the table.
Right. They need to get some weight to them. But I think if you could just go through and almost like just paint the edges, that would do enough for me to make it feel less, less intrusive. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for right now.
I get what you're saying about upgrading kind of what you have, because you have, certainly playable stuff, and I'm kind of doing the same thing too with some of mine. Is there's playable, but there's kits that we're coming across now and that we're gonna cover later that are just better, sharper, and more more than what we have. I totally get that.
Exactly, and that's kind of a mess. So it's like these 2 buildings that we've had since almost. I think they're 2 of the first buildings I ever put down on the table here when we were playing Bolt Action. So I really like them, but yeah, they're just. I think if you had an entire table of them, they wouldn't stick out as bad and they'd be okay. But at this point, I don't really want to invest in more of them. So when I feel like there's better options, so there's that.
Why do I feel like there was a whole table of them at one of the game day events that we went to?
I don't know if those were Plasticraft or if those. I thought
those were different companies.
Those were Crescent Root, I think. And
they were Crescent Root. Those were beautiful, but they were.
Those were gorgeous.
I think it was again though because it was such an amassed amount of them that I think that helps it. To Pat's point, like I don't know if they would stand up by themselves if you just had a building out there. I think it was part of it was that there was so much of it.
I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. So, and as gorgeous as Crescent Root is, I'm not at the point where I want to drop $1,000 to have a table.
Yeah,
so,
right. As beautiful as that table was, that was a lot of money.
Right.
On the table.
Interestingly, I think it's actually you spend that much, but it's worth it because it does in fact look that good. Also, I don't know that you have to paint those.
You don't.
So I think that's just you can pop them out and put them on the table. So it was a beautiful table. So.
Yeah, well, that's awesome right until Jesse picks up one of my buildings and drops it on one of his buildings and everything gets smashed. And I'm like...
that only happened once.
That only... so far.
Well, and we're bringing it...
setting up to rain.
It really was. It's like, man, I just painted that, man. Come on.
Well, and to be fair, it's going to be at a tournament, so it's going to get some abuse. It's just the way it is.
That's fine. I want it to look good.
People are going to pick them up and drop them on other buildings. So. I mean, Jesse might, if he hears this, you never know.
Sharknado 6?
Yeah, if we're going to make a joke board, by the way, from now on, it's going to be a Sharknado board where it's just big tornadoes with sharks hanging out of them.
Actually, I think we might do better just putting it like a display board of Sharknado somewhere in there, like the scoring table or something.
Oh my god. I almost want to make a little Sharknado display and give that to whoever scores the lowest. Be like, here's your Sharknado. Good job.
You got Sharknado.
You got Sharknado. You survived the least amount of time in a Sharknado game. Good job.
We'll come up with something because I think there's a lot of we could just have purple suns running down all the tables. but they're just Sharknadoes instead.
The Sharknadoes, yeah.
I think we'll not do that. Let's not get this too.
That's not
control.
your third board, though, is it, Jeff?
Well, it could be Sharknado, I guess. No. So the third board, I will sheepishly admit that I didn't know I was doing 3 boards until Pat sent out the thing, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess I did say I'd do a third board. Luckily,
a drunken commit at Buggy
it was totally. Luckily, I have enough terrain. I just have to get it painted. So it won't. I haven't decided what that board's going to look like yet. It might be my desert board.
The Crest B52.
Yeah, that actually is strongly considering that's what that board might be. Is a no man's land with that crashed B17 sitting in the middle of it.
Thank you.
The problem is again, noob mistake. When I was first getting into this, I did this crashed B17. And it looks great, except it's on like 1/4 inch MDF, so it's on a super thick base, and it's all done. So what I need to do is get like a power sander and bevel the edges, and that's just gonna suck. Just suck.
That's right, because that one's on, like, you didn't actually bevel those edges before you did that one.
No, God,
yeah. No. It sucks.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just going to be doing the edges of it. The problem is that, like...
That's pretty rough, though.
It's not my favorite thing in the world. And I don't actually own a power sander, so then I got to buy a power sander.
You almost borrow one?
I was going to say, you almost need an angle grinder at that point.
Yeah.
I might.
Power sander's not going to do enough for that 1/4 inch to get it down.
You're going to tear the shit out of it with the sand on it already. You're going to have to get something a little more powerful. We'll chat offline.
We'll figure something out.
We'll figure something out if you want to make that happen.
I might make that happen because I love that B17 bit.
Yeah, it's
it
pretty
good
sweet
with some smoke on it. So
right.
But yeah, I think that's going to probably be the third board I do then, and so
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I got enough terrain to do another board anyway if I wanted to, every time I spoiler alert, every time I look at these companies we're going to talk about, I see more stuff I want to buy. So
right. There's never a shortage of cool.
Never a shortage.
Especially in this era of gaming and, World War II gaming. It's been around forever. There's a lot of terrain for it. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, so I can give I'm kind of with Dale where I made some pretty strong progress and then I kind of putzed out here a little bit. Just been pretty busy lately, but I've been putting flock on some of the jungle board. So I don't know if I posted pictures recently, but I've got all the color in, got all the hills in, still building trees for it because I need like 40 bunches of trees. I put all the water effects in, which I think are, pretty nice. I may be a little shallower than I want them to be, but I'm also not willing to spend like another $50 on water effects. So it is what it is.
Yeah, that stuff's more about the paint you put about it than the depth of the water effect.
Right. So yeah. So I shaded it all in. Like I airbrushed in all the color on all of like the So there's a bunch of swamp areas. If you go on our Facebook, I posted about it. Basically, I have these swampy areas that are going to get that I basically filled in. Blasted in black, and then I blasted in some dark greens, and I kind of filled in some lighter areas, so it had a nice, good depth effect. And then basically this is just like a gloss effect over it, so it looks like water, which I think is all it really is doing. And it looks pretty good. I wish it was a little bit higher up in the board, so it didn't look like the cork that I'm using for the swamp.
The one thing you do to increase the depth of that is to actually use the water effects paste, and kind of get some ripples on there, so that'll actually help the depth a little bit.
I'm trying to keep it pretty still though, because swamps don't tend to have waves in them.
No, just around like the stalks that are sticking up.
Oh, sure.
Just that will kind of give a different illusion to it.
I could try something. I'm pretty satisfied with it. I might go back and make it a little bit deeper.
If you like it, stop futzing with it and move on.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like I need to get all the rest of it done, so I've built all the table or all the buildings for it. I've got a lot of buildings for it, which is really nice. Like all the roads are done, but I just need to flock everything and then start putting in some detail pieces. I'm thinking about like kind of what Dale was doing with those sandbags and finding some sandbag, like, checkpointy type stuff for a jungle board where people would set up defensive perimeters. So that one's pretty well in progress. I've been building a bunch of other terrain for some of my second boards. I haven't quite laid out how I want it to look yet. So I have essentially a European countryside board. What I've been deeming the sound, I'll let it out of the bag. I kind of want to do a Sound of Music board. I think I've talked about this on the podcast before anyway.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, so essentially,
it's not new to us anyway.
No, right? Yeah, it's not new to you guys, but it's I won't even call it a joke, but it's just kind of an homage to what the Sound of Music is during that.
You just want to call it the Van Trapp board?
Yeah, kind of. I kind of want to. Like, I was trying to figure out how I could get a church in one corner and the theater in the other, but I'm like, that sounds like that's too much. So we'll see how that plays out. It's going to be subtle. It's not going to be over the top or like beat your head over it over the theme of it. So. And,
I mean, you're not going to have a small little family modeled up in the hill, and
no, not anything quite as overt as that.
Well, yeah, because there's the O-scale little families that they have for the trains.
Right. I'm sure I could find a Von Trapp family O set. I'm sure. Well, maybe not O, but I'm sure I could find a set of Von Trapp family railroad miniatures. I'm sure I could, but that's too much. And then, I don't even remember what my last board is. Oh, it's the factory board. So I have not actually started building that one yet because I feel like I've got 2 boards in flight. I'd like to get those at least 90% of the way there, and then I'll work on the last one again. That one actually will go together pretty quickly anyway, I think, because it'll be pretty monotone compared to these other boards. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's 12 boards, and that's how many we need. So.
Yep, and we'll probably be reaching out to some people in a month and being like, we're not getting.
Oh my God! Please loan us terrain.
We don't know what we were doing.
We have people who've already pledged being backup, I guess, for us. So
they very graciously have offered their terrain, and there's a lot of very beautiful terrain for us to be able to pick from, which is great.
And a lot of it is fantastic terrain. Yep. So for our backups out there, special thanks to John Stentz. Who else? It was Jacob.
Yep.
It's also in there.
Yep, Jacob as well.
Nick Fensky as well.
And Nick Fensky, yeah. So those 3 guys have all pledged to have at least a table standing by for us. At least they said that some time ago, if that's still true or not. I mean, they're playing in the tournament, so I imagine their train's not doing anything else. So hopefully they're, if need be, we still got that as backup, right?
Right.
Yep.
And in future years, when we decide that we need to have 150 players, we might be able to borrow all their stuff.
Well, we're doing a 40-player GT next year, right?
Oh my God!
No, we're not making any commitments at this point. Let's get through year 1 before we decide on anything else, please.
Let's make sure people want to come back.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Might sign it up for it and be like crickets. Hey, look. Oh, okay. No. Well, I guess we can play.
Sure. Yeah, we'll just play each other. We'll just rent a boardroom and all play together. That sounds great. Yeah, so you guys, it's killing me every time because Jacob is doing this to me. I swear to God, he's just killing me here. You guys are going to get to play in another event that I cannot go to, and it's just around the corner. You guys been doing any prep for that at all?
Not really. I mean, I've got my army already painted, and okay. I've got a list. I picked up the Empire in Flames campaign book, and or theater book, I guess is what it is. And so, looking at there's an early war list there that's actually pretty brutal, and I've been having fun, clubbing baby seals with that for the past few weeks. So I'm ready to go.
Okay,
that's
right.
Awesome. Well, I mean, he's like, hey, we're going to do an early war because that's something no one else does, and it's 1,000 points. And I was like,
hey, that's right in your wheelhouse.
That's what I brought to Bug Eater. I mean, that's exactly what I brought to Bug Eater. Who asked me on Thursday night, oh, was your list early war? And I turned and looked at him like, it's France, so yes, it's early war.
I'm not playing the Germans. I'm not playing the Germans or the Americans. Yeah.
Yeah, he was complaining because I wrecked him, and he's like, "All my guys stink in the early war." So,
yeah, it's kind of like I don't get anything else, right? This is the maximum amount of being French you get in this game. So,
well, until you get to play as Americans in 45.
Well, that's playing as Americans, though.
Right. That's with French game. Uniforms and baguettes and stuff. So I'm actually, what I'd like to play and what I can play are 2 different things. I regretfully have not gotten my dreaded Gurkhas together, so that may come as a relief to anyone listening, I know. So I will not be running any Gurkhas. I will, however, I did manage to squeeze in my M3 Stuart with all its glorious machine guns. So I did get that together, and I just have to finalize the list and send it in. I'm waffling between about 2 or 3. And no matter what, I'm going to submit one, and about 30 seconds later, want to change to the other one. And then by the time I get done with the event, I'll have wanted to play the first one anyway. So, whatever.
That sounds about accurate, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Gosh,
pretty standard.
if I had just done this other list, I totally could have taken care of that problem that's kicking my butt.
It's kind of the way it goes. Okay, well, so not much there, but it is fastly approaching. So
Really looking forward to it. Saw the
Yeah.
picture of the glasses he's given out to the participants. Love etched glasses as souvenirs because
who doesn't need an extra pint glass? Yeah,
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they tell a story too, which I love.
right. Yeah, you
Yep.
can have them on your wall or in your cabinet.
Or you can drink beer out of them.
Well,
Oh,
you
wait a
can't drink
minute.
out of
What?
beer out of all of them, though. That's the problem, right? So
I can drink beer out of all of them at once.
So one big super straw running to one major straw.
You got it.
I could see that being like you got them all lined up on the bar and you doing car bombs. You like tap the shot glass into all of them.
The Irish car bombs and go.
I get about through 8 and then I'll be on the floor, thank you.
Right.
Well, there you
yeah,
go.
no
Maybe
doubt.
maybe we should do shot glasses for Renegade. No, just kidding. Not committing to that.
Yeah, that's no.
It says too much about us.
Right.
Like we're past
maybe
that point
maybe
in
a little
life.
too much. Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right. Well, this kind of leads right into we kind of had a little interim there with the game day thing, but so we kind of talked about this just at the beginning of all of our game boards and stuff. But we've been gathering a boatload of products from all sorts of different companies, and I think we could go through a couple of them. I think we should go through some of them that we have. Basically, that we've gotten stuff from. So, uno momento.
Well, I mean, let's be clear. We haven't actually received anything. Like, we haven't had companies send us anything for free or anything
True.
like that.
True.
We've actually,
Sorry, yeah.
Went and looked and found stuff that we wanted, and then purchased this stuff. Although, because of the bulk orders and things like that, and sometimes there's some cross sponsorship with the tournament, we may get some discounts or something like that. But this isn't one of those things where any of these companies have outright just sent us free stuff asking us to review their stuff. So
Correct. That is a good
Right.
disclaimer at the front of it. Is that these are honest. This is honest. Honest reviews. This isn't something that we're getting paid to do.
Our opinions can't be bought, and I got paid $50 to say that. Wait, what?
You only got paid 50.
Yeah, what'd you get paid?
Fool.
I know.
I don't talk salary on the air or off the air. No, I'm kidding. No, I haven't made a cent off any of this stuff. So,
Actually, I think it's costing us to do it, right?
right? Well, I mean, you get to own the stuff at the end of the day. So,
Well, sure.
let's break down what we've. I mean, maybe people haven't seen how much stuff we've gotten so far. So, do we want to run down things that we've gotten, or do we want to just talk about the things that we are found to be exciting? Or,
well, we should be. Let's talk about the things we can actually provide feedback on. So.
sure, the things we put together, which in a lot of our cases is quite a bit of stuff. That's the rub. Is like there's a lot of stuff that we've done work on.
Yeah, maybe highlights then, I suppose.
How do you want to do this exactly? Should I just? I mean, who do I rub one out?
Go by company, I think.
Sure,
Hold on
go by company. And let's even go so far as to like for example, I've touched on the Pegasus Bridge in several. I've touched the Pegasus Bridge in several episodes. In that kit,
You touched it?
I've touched it. I've touched on it all over the place. Anyway, so
Just a tip.
we know my thoughts on that one, so I'll just clear that.
Who
but
produces
let's talk about
that? Who produces
that's actually a
Pegasus?
Sarissa.
Okay.
But
There's other manufacturers for that
there's-
same board.
The
but-
kit I got was from Sarissa, but it was also bulked with Warlords, so they include. It's from Sarissa, but it was also bulked with Warlords, so they include Germans, and you get some weapons and stuff like that. So it's a nice bulk campaign designed to reenact the Pegasus Bridge. So that was very nice. Guys, what are some of your other? I mean, we did a huge Sarissa order, and what was some of the? Let's just get the highlights out of what you guys really
Sure.
liked out of those kits.
That watermill kit is awesome.
The watermill one? Yeah, that
Yeah.
looked pretty cool when you were putting that together.
At first, I heard watermelon, but
Watermelon kit is awesome too.
it's
seedless.
just a big ball of MDF.
Just a huge ball.
You have those at the end.
Yeah, right?
Is that
Yeah.
seedless MDF? or-
Seedless MDF. though.
Seedless MDF. Yeah, highest quality.
Yeah, none of that
Yeah.
seeds in the
No,
MDF
so
garbage.
I put together a bunch of Sarasa stuff already, like the Chateau. I think almost all of us have the Chateau that they sell, and it's a beautiful kit. I will say there, like from my experience with Sarasa stuff, is that it's kind of certain pieces are a pain in the butt to put together. That's to say almost all terrain is this way. So this isn't necessarily a negative comment about it. Their stuff is fiddly and it has lots of little bits, which I think is really nice because it does give you a lot of detail, but it also is a lot of extra work. Like holy cow!
I'm going to put this out here, Rick. That Chateau is a picnic compared to that frickin' Spotlight kit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
My god.
I hated that thing so many different times.
Oh, I swore at that thing so much. It's just like I did that kit. I was like, I'm going to spend 4 hours putting kits together. I started on that. I did it in about an hour, and I was like, I think I'm done for the day because I just want to smash everything else I'm looking at.
Well, it's funny because I felt the same way about the Chateau, and I actually stopped for the night because of the staircase on that one.
Oh God!
Like lining up every single tread.
Mm-hmm.
I provide him this feedback, but like having some engineering background or design background, I understand that there isn't a better way to do that. It's just a pain in the ass. It's just no way around it.
Like even construction wise, stairs are a pain in the ass.
Right. And this essentially they're doing tiny
building stairs,
scale, real stairs is what they're doing, and it's really complicated to get them all.
Fun story for you. So back 10 years ago, my wife and I had our house built. We were touring it by one of the stages when they were doing stuff, and at the header at the top of the stairs, someone had actually written, "Don't fuck this up." Meaning, make damn sure you get these things in right before we finish them.
Yeah.
It was hysterical. So stairs are a pain in the butt, apparently.
The funny story about that is, I worked on a Habitat for Humanity house, and so I worked 1 week, and then I worked 2 weeks later. I worked for another week on the same house, and I came back. So the first week we're framing the outside of the house, so it's a shell. There's nothing going on. You can't even envision what the house looks like. 2 weeks later, I come back, and somebody put the stairs in backwards. Like you couldn't walk up or down the stairs because they were both facing exterior walls. Like it was super funny. It was like, so that basically my day that day was to take the stairs out and turn them around and then put them back in. It was brilliant.
So to summarize, stairs suck. They're apparently a little tough.
Pretty much.
Miniature or full size?
The Habitat for Stupidity tour must have come through before you.
Well, I mean, it is volunteer labor, so it's I felt kind of.
You're not getting the skilled laborers there. You're getting the guys like, hey, I got some nails and I can swing a hammer. Let's do this.
And the funny thing is they said that a Habitat for Humanity house will survive more than any other's one, and it's primarily because they put about 10 times as many freaking nails into it than the rest of them.
Over-engineered, yeah.
Right. Well, it's just because they're pounding nails in instead of using a nail gun. So, yeah, it's just, anyway. Yeah, it's way off topic.
Long story longer.
Yeah, I'm really worried about putting those factories together from Sarasa. I bought a bunch of the factory stuff, which looks really cool, but those factories look like they could be fiddly too.
Overall, I would say that, okay, so what's really nice is that they have good guides you can follow for most of the kits, which is really nice. And then once in a while, you run across just a really futzy where all the pieces are kind of the exact same, except... And you're stacking them together, and you're gluing yourself on top of glue, and then you're just like, ugh. So,
yeah,
I found the Spotlight kit, like the radar station. That was pretty easy put together.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Other than I wasn't paying attention to the directions because I figured I could do just fine and put the dish together, basically upside down 2 different times before I'm like, what the hell? So they give you directions. For Christ's sake, look at them.
No, man, I don't look at directions.
No, and it's like literally you peel the plastic and the sheet that's in there is the directions, which is I think also really brilliant and something that having come from other game systems with MDF terrain, Infinity primarily, where you have to go online and look at their stuff online and you're just like, dude, why am I looking online for directions for a thing that I have in my hand? It drives me crazy. But anyway, neither here nor there. I was going to say one of those other ones that I found to be kind of, it wasn't futzy. Excuse me. It wasn't futzy, but it was kind of like hard to put together was the fountain. don't know if any of you guys have put the fountain together. It's a tiny little kit.
Oh yeah, I put
did.
the fountain together.
I
Yes.
It was like hard to get it like all lined up and just square the way you wanted to, but it is a pretty kit when you're done with it.
I was doing just fine until I had to put the tower with the little cross and stuff in there, and she just didn't want to go, and so one of the things just buckled, so I just cut the thing off and called it good. Other than that, I didn't have any problem with it.
My little cross thing at the top is bent at about a 30-degree angle because it didn't go in right.
Okay.
Then it was like the glue dried, and I was like, well, screw it. It looks like it's old.
I also filed all those square openings before I put
you
the whole
smart
thing
son
together.
of a gun.
Hey, I'd put
that's
together
smart.
enough of those kits that, yes, you want to start filing those tight fits where they stack things up.
Yeah.
I actually learned that by doing the Spotlight one where I didn't do any of that. So
Yeah.
all the rest of them, I started all those things where they stack on the squares, especially the wheels on things.
Yeah.
You need to file those things up a little bit more, so you get you want it really, really loose because that glue is going to tighten it, and then when that glue hits the MDF, it's just going to suck it up and expand.
Right. Yeah, it's going to
Just
swell
a little
bit.
bit. It's going to be really, really tight.
You got
Hey, you
to.
want to hear a
that-
fun one? Oh, go ahead, Dale.
Is that a downside to those small kits then? I mean, is it the MDF like 2 millimeter? It's a smaller or thinner MDF to start with, and then how much extra time do you have to spend, filing away the points of contact to kind of get a better fit?
Depends on the file you use. I got some really nice Army Painter, like their quote unquote diamond files, and I'm 3-4 swipes on each surface done.
Okay, that's not too bad then.
No.
Yeah. I was going to say, I thought, I made a funny comment to my wife. I was like, hey, I'm going to put in the Spotlight kit together. I think maybe I'm going to put it together in such a fashion that I can put a little tin foil in the back and an LED light and have it be an actual working spotlight. And then I started putting it together and I was like, funk that.
This may not get painted. I may replace it really quick.
No bat signal then, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, bummer.
Other
That would've been
small
cool.
tip, just overall on MDF kits, I think we all, as far as the four of us, use the, as far as primer is concerned, you can't use your standard plastic or pewter primer that's using miniatures because the MDF just, is so absorbent, it just sucks everything up. I think we all use this Rust-Oleum 2X.
Yep. The primary difference is that it's an enamel primer, which sits on the surface better than a standard primer.
Pro tip, make sure when you get the next can to buy only primer, not primer plus paint like I did.
Oh, interesting.
Don't do that. It's very bad.
Didn't work out?
Well, it like seals, so when I tried to spray with my air gun, and spray paint on
Just beat it up on you?
It beaded, and I was like,
Yep.
son of a...
I was just going to say that.
So there's a way around that if you guys are interested. This is another, pro hobby tip, is that if you want to be able to spray airbrush over the top of something, you can put a coat of matte varnish over it,
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's actually what I ended up doing.
which will allow you to do the airbrushing over the top of it.
So
'Cause-
you
Go
need
ahead.
something that just creates like a surface for the rest of the paint to stick to.
True.
Because the Rust-Oleum, the primer plus, like if you do any of the colors, that's what those are.
Oh,
If
that's
you
what
get-
I do.
if
I
you
do
get
the
too-
colors.
If you go too heavy on it, the Rust-Oleum whole thing is that they're in the 80s and 90s there was no runs, no drips or errors, meaning it would not rust, and so that it actually creates a surface tension so that you can't put anything to penetrate that any further.
Right.
That's the Rust-Oleum design. So that's what happens if you get too heavy. But if you do a light enough coat with the 2X, it'll still work. But if it gets to the point where it kind of has a gloss shine to it, you've gone too far, and you have to do what you're talking about, where you do like just a varnish or just blast it with any other primer, something that gives it some grit and some surface for the other paint to stick to.
Yep.
It's funny, I painted a fair amount of terrain with all of their colored paints, and I found them to be very forgiving in general, but that's just from personal...
Well, perhaps I hold the primer button down a little more than you do, I guess.
That's a possibility. I've been priming. I prime light. Well,
I do not.
and that was the other thing that I was doing with all my terrain is I'd prime it black, and then I would prime it with that again. So I would put 2 coats of paint on it, so I wasn't exactly going for a deep... The color layer is not necessarily meant as a full primer. It's more of a toning something. So
I tried to shortcut some stuff when I was doing my Infinity stuff, and it looked okay, but I just couldn't get any other color to go on top of it. Like Jeff said, it was just beating up and running off.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, there's, like I said, matte varnish takes care of that. That is one. Dale brought up a good point about this. Is I feel like the Sarasa stuff, and this is not something I was used to until I started working with their stuff. It's 2 millimeter MDF, which is a big difference. It felt flimsy when I started working with it, but I feel okay with it for the most part. The only time I really can get some concerned about it is like when you're working with like a broken building or a bombed out building and it has like the rafters and stuff exposed. That those pieces feel too flimsy for me. Otherwise, I feel like the 2mm is no different than anything else.
Yeah, you just got to be gentle with certain pieces with it, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's my biggest concern is just from a tournament perspective. Like, if it was my own table at home, I wouldn't care. But in a tournament setting, like, you can't guarantee people aren't going to bust that stuff, which is fine. That's what a tournament is. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not maybe quite as durable for tournament play as I would like it to be.
Well, I'm not going to knock it. I'm going to let it go through this tournament. We'll see how it survives, and I'll give my assessment of it afterwards.
Sure, we can do a follow up after that and see how well it survives. I'd be curious. Cool.
So overall, design-wise, we like it. It's pretty clever stuff.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, I think they have some really, really outstanding kits. Actually, I don't own any Sarissa stuff personally. Any comments on overall value?
Great bang for the buck, I think.
Okay. So thumbs up from Jeff. Anybody else?
It's pretty much par for the course. It's right in line with what other companies are putting out there. The complexity behind some of them is more than it needs to be, but when you're trying to build stuff that's 3D and you're trying to do it out of a series of 2mm sections, you have to do what you have to do. So they're creative. And I just think some of it comes down to kit selection. Sometimes some pieces are just better to not have to do that MDF stack up with, but for the most part, the kits that I've worked with, I like them, and I don't feel I was overpriced buying them.
No, I think, I would agree that overall value is very good. You're getting your money's worth, and I do feel like they are probably of all of our stuff that we've gotten so far, I do feel like they might be the most accurate to architecture of Europe during that time.
So from a realistic standpoint,
right?
Best. Okay.
I that's my personal take on it, but I think that is, I don't know, Jeff, do you agree?
I don't want to say that they're the best, but I will say that they are for the most part accurate. How about that?
No, I'm not saying they're the best. I'm saying of all the stuff, I feel like they are the most accurate to story. I'm not trying to.
How about they're the best one we've talked about so far?
I'm just going to go with they are accurate. They are accurate historically.
Fair enough. Up. Yeah, fair. Yeah, there you go. All right.
So then my final question then, and I'll do this for each one of these. Do you feel like the kits and the selection is available? Do you feel like it will mix and match well with other manufacturers, or do you feel like this is one of those terrain companies where they really, in order for it to work, Sarissa to work, it has to be on a full table of Sarissa stuff?
I would just say no. I think they mix and match with everything just fine.
Okay, I think that actually is an important part because that increases their value, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like there's very few things that actually don't go well together personally. Like, I understand what you're asking, but I don't know that I feel like any of the manufacturers that we have tend to, unless the scales are super different, I don't think that really is a problem. It's more about how you paint it, I guess, at that point.
Yeah, I would say they're definitely in scale, and they look fine with other buildings. I mean, obviously the the paint jobs aren't going to mesh well with some other companies because some other companies, frankly, they look more weathered or better, and my stuff does not look weathered. It looks like somebody painted it last week. So I think architecturally, though, they'll match with just about anything, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. What's next?
So I think the next one we've gotten a fairly sizable order from is Foreground. I admittedly have not put any of my Foreground stuff together because all of the Foreground stuff I ordered is for my factory boards.
Yeah, you got shipping crates and hardware and storage rack and a bunch of
like all of my detail pieces. Yeah, all the detail stuff.
By the way, you had mentioned you wanted some telegraph poles. I do have some extra. I don't need all of them for the Pegasus Bridge that I thought I was going to.
Okay,
so
we'll chat.
I'm sure we'll get you some.
Okay.
Jeff, you got the woodshed and the ruined house kit number 2.
I did. Yeah, the ruined house kit was it's a little hard to put together, but once you get in the groove, it's not so bad. So it's sort of like double-sided MDF. So you're putting smooth backs together to make two pieces together, and they have texture on the outsides. It's solid, right? I really liked the kit once I got it together, even though again I cursed at it a few times. But but it was nice. The woodshed, on the other hand, really took me to the woodshed. So like
that sounds very unfortunate.
Oh, so like it's cool, right? Like I open it up, it's this little tiny woodshed. I'm like, oh, I'll throw this together in like 10 minutes. I love this. So the frame of it goes up in like 10 minutes, no problem. But see, the outside of it is layered slat board, right? So like each board lays a little bit on top of the next one. All of those boards go on individually. They're all gray boards, so like that thin cardboardy stuff. And it gives you sort of a guideline, but not really on the spacing of it. So you got to build it from the ground towards the top and just hope your spacing was right so the pieces all fit.
Dear Lord. So you're like actually siding a building.
Yes.
In 28 millimeters scale.
A miniature
but
building.
Without a ladder.
With gray board.
You don't need a ladder to actually side that one, is what the advantage is there, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, I was not pleased with that. It was an awful lot of work for a woodshed. Now, when it's done, I like how it looks, but that might have been... In the future, I think my woodshed is going to be made out of plywood or something.
Yeah.
So,
good luck finding an O-scale tape measure to measure out all those slatted boards.
I will say this. So I believe the big claim of Foreground is that all their stuff is supposed to be, quote-unquote, pre-painted and not require painting afterwards. Is that I think that's the whole gist of what all their kits are supposed to be. So I had gotten, like, they have these little barricades, which are like, 4 or 5 sticks with, planks that have razor wire wrapped around them. Those were simple enough. You see them pretty much everywhere. They're kind of a big staple. Honestly, I don't remember ever seeing them in a World War II picture or photo anywhere, but they're a nice kit. They work well. Trouble is that they're really light, and having played with them in tournaments, they're never going to be in the exact same spot that you set them up at the beginning of the tournament because they are so light. I also got a couple of their houses, which, again, the pre-painted is really nice. So what they do is they have a specific paint for each of these, the planks that they have. And like Jeff said, you're doing the back-to-back. So they've got, you're gluing smooth side to smooth side with MDF. And they do actually, in their instructions, tell you to get a bunch of clothespins and hold them together with the clothespins. Don't skip this step, or it just doesn't work. The stuff will warp, it'll bend, it'll peel apart, and you're just going to have a tough time of it. The first time, I'm like, clothespins, what do you need those for? I'll just hold them together till it's done. Well, if you've used, the standard Elmer's glue or the PVA glue or whatever it is, it doesn't dry really fast, and MDF doesn't respond super well to super glue, ironically enough. So my first building kind of got a little off kilter and a little wonky, like it was done by one of Rick's crews in Homes for Habitats or whatever it was. And then the second one, when I got the gist of how it went together. So the first one probably took me 4.5 hours over 2 nights. The second one I got done in about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, less drying time in the next 2 nights. So it went together really bad. It looks really good. The one really thing I'd say, so their pre-painted stuff, I think an entire table of foreground terrain, to answer Dale's question coming up at the end of this, would look fantastic. Can you mix and match it? I'm going to try, because I don't feel like buying another 6 buildings for any of my tables, because they are a little bit higher on the pricey end. I think you're paying for that pre-painted thing, which I know a lot of people I won't say a lot. I know there are people out there who would rather just buy their stuff, let me open up, put it together, put it on the table, and then I don't have to paint it. I'm fine, let's play. I'm not necessarily one of those people. But in this case, I believe that's their whole selling point for Foregrounds, that their stuff is ready to play once it's assembled.
Are they a little more expensive than Sarissa is?
Yes.
Okay.
For similarly sized buildings and stuff, yes. But they're, again, they're pre-painted.
They're pre-painted, and I think they're almost twice. They're time and a half to twice, at least.
Okay.
I believe.
With the double-sided MDF, do you get more detail for that, though? Like your
so you're getting detail on the exterior and the interior of it.
Okay.
Whereas,
and with bolt action, that could be kind of nice because we do play inside buildings and things like that. So.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and the other thing, so yes, it's pre-painted, but they have the 3 colors they use, which is like literally a reddish and a whitish and a bluish. So they got the red brick, the white, and then they paint it before they do the laser cutting. So it actually, It's actually really clever that they do that because the actual laser cutting kind of burns and kind of gives some natural shading to all the edging and stuff to it. And then as they turn the edge of the MDF out in certain spots, which adds a different texture coloring to it. So they're really clever in their engineering and making these kits that they broke up their blank colors a lot with the stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess my one beef with that is when you look at like the side of a building, like where where they have those like the mortise joints. I don't know if that's called a mortise joint, dovetail joint, essentially, where they have the interweaving teeth. That it kind of breaks the illusion up a little bit, just in my perspective.
Right, because very few buildings actually have that in them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at a couple of their other buildings that I didn't purchase, but
and that's not exclusive to Foreground. That's most of those MDF building kits.
True.
Have that dovetailing to them.
Right. It's just a little bit more obvious when it's pre-painted, right? So that because they're painting it flat and then putting it when you put it together,
and you're seeing the edge.
See those edges, yeah.
Yep.
Whereas they're a little bit less treated than the rest. But I suppose you could go through and just paint those edges, and that would probably help make them that much better. But they do look really good. I like the cracks, and like you said, you get that little smoky effect from the laser cutting through the paint, which is kind of nice. I don't know. Has anyone else put any other Foreground stuff together yet? I unfortunately have not, so we'll have to follow up again once I get all my stuff together.
Yeah, I don't have any Foreground.
I got a bunch of little itty bitty detail pieces it's going to be a little while for me on that one because that's my last board.
So, but overall, impressive. A little bit on the spendier side, but you're paying for a premium that you seemingly get.
I agree. Yeah, you're paying for a premium you get. It's solid. So, thumbs up. Yeah.
It's kind of nice to not have to paint all your terrain. Sometimes, especially for a tournament where you're like we're putting 12 boards together. It's sometimes nice to be able to I can assemble this and be done with it. I don't have to touch it anymore.
It's really nice that they rate the difficulty of their kits right on there. So if you're struggling with one, you pick it up and you go 4. What was that other thing I put together in 20 minutes? 2. I don't feel so bad anymore. Okay, fine. Although I'm not sure what the upper end of their scale is. I mean, I know we talked to who was it? It was Paul that put the church together. And that kit looks gorgeous. Assembled, by the way. I can't imagine the nightmare of the fit I would have trying to put it together, but it looks outstanding.
Once you get past skill level 5, when you open the package, it's just a hand giving you the middle finger. So
okay, well that could be almost anything I open up then.
All right, I'm looking at the parish church right now to see what the skill level says it is.
I'm not sure if did they post on the website. I'd be interested to know.
The one that I just looked at had it. I was doing a little window shopping while we were talking. Still.
Never happened before.
This one, no, I've never bought anything while we're talking about it. The parish church does not tell you how much it is or what the scale it is. The last one I looked at was a 4. It was just a brownstone building.
And their typical buildings are listed at 4, and then I think the razor wire kit that I talked about and the telephone kit that we had mentioned were 2s or 3s or something. So. It's really about how much glue is going to end up on your fingers when you're done putting the kit together.
How am I going to have fingerprints?
Right, exactly. Yeah, don't forget those clothespins. Definitely, because my first building did actually have fingerprints, and the glue got away and kind of peeled some of the pre-painted portion away, and it doesn't go back down real smooth when it starts to lift up. Just for the record.
Okay, all right, good to know. We're using super glue or white glue?
All white glue.
Okay. Yeah, I really like white glue with MDF. If people don't know, I think white glue is a better choice. It might take a little longer, but it doesn't seem to absorb immediately into the wood. I feel like with super glue, it's gone as soon as you put it on there.
It gives you some correction time, let's just say.
True. Yeah, that's true too.
Because a lot of those kits, you find a better way to put it together after the second or third time you've put it together. And you go, oh, hey, I got the wrong piece. Correct, better, take your pick.
Okay. Well, I think that's all the Foreground we have right now, because I think we're still working through all this stuff. So this is preliminary looking at all of our stuff. The next one on our list that I've gotten to put some together, even though I never bought any, is Zolk. which is a smaller company out of Canada. I think they're fairly new to the scene, if I remember correctly. I feel like they kind of aren't very big yet. Correct?
Yeah, they're creeping in. I think most of their stuff has been, just looking at their website and kind of the history of the website, is kind of more sci-fi, more of the 40K sort of market. And they're really trying to work back into the bolt action. They've released a lot of stuff in recent months, and so the stuff they're working on now, I think, is pretty cool. And a lot of it is, he's getting more tailored towards what the World War II scene is. So a lot of the Normandy stuff and some of the things that he had before, he's definitely do still kind of fit in a general sense.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was going to say, I feel like relatively new. So it's Zolk. It's XOLK.ca.
Yep, it's a word. It doesn't mean anything, so I'm told, and it doesn't stand for everything. It's just what they happen to pick, I guess.
Okay.
Because that was the first question I had. So is it Zolk, like folk with an X, or is it like XOLK, like it stands for something? He's like, it's just Zolk, and it doesn't mean anything. I'm like, all right, fair enough.
He's probably getting sick of being asked that question.
He could
No,
be.
but so, I mean, and this isn't we're not like we're purchasing stuff from this guy. He just happened to reach out to us at the right time. We were looking at buildings, and Dale was like, "Oh, wow, I can use these." They have a urban war zone set, and I got to help Dale put some of it together because, holy cow, there's a lot of pieces that he's got to put together for his stuff. But you want to talk about it, Dale? Do you have any initial thoughts on the stuff you put together?
Sure. I picked up the Mega Urban War Zone, and it came on 30 or 40 MDF sheets.
Like a pallet, just somebody rolled in a forklift with a bunch of MDF on it.
There's quite a bit of MDF there.
So
and,
of the shipping weight, which was 20 kilograms when we had our order, I believe more than half of it was yours.
Yeah, it was
that
something
mega
else.
board. Yeah,
and I ended up coming across it and seeing and working out that it would be. It would actually work out pretty well for this board that we were talking about putting together, and it wasn't expensive, and so the kits are reasonably straightforward in that you got a floor and a couple of walls and then maybe some additional floors, and so there's not a ton of detail on these kits, although there is some clever detail in that the windows that are cut, you have little bottom window sills. That you can affix, and then you've also got like walkways out the front and the back, depending. And then on extra bits within the MDF sheets themselves, they'll cut out ruined and broken boards and things like that, so you can scatter them variously throughout. And then there, because it's a ruined war zone of buildings, then there are like holes blown into walls and floors and stuff like that. So there's probably maybe 40 different pieces of building terrain, from a complete building with the roof collapsed to an almost complete building with, a third of the building blown away, and then other various bits of corners of buildings or front entryways with stairs and things like that, intermixed throughout. And so, having actually, with Rick's help, finally assembled all of them and putting them out there, based on what I want to do with them, I'm not even going to be able to use them all to cover one table. I could probably cover a table and a half, maybe even two tables with this one kit. And so, from that point of view, actually the value is really, really solid. But there's not a great deal of detail. It's a single sheet of MDF. And, some of the floors might have some cracks etched into them, but, it's not double-sided with a lot of detail and stuff like that. But it's not expensive stuff. At least this kit isn't. And it really feels like, from the evolution of the company, this might be some of the early stuff, because I know that Pat picked up a building, and he'll talk about that is more engineered and is fantastic in my opinion. But for the price and the amount of space that it's going to occupy, I think it's fantastic. And I love putting a lot of my own detail on my kits anyways, with the painting and stuff like that. So I think the more time you put into the kit, the bigger bang for the buck that you're going to be able to get out of it personally. So if you enjoy building and painting and adding detail, this could be something that fits in really well. In addition to that, I got a couple of their wall kits that because I wanted to also see if I could fit them on my other board where I need fences and things like that to section off the ground. And I was really impressed with their low town walls, because you've got the MDF portion and then the gray board on top of it for the detail. And that came together really, really well. And then just the stone walls, and those are back to back. So there's two pieces of MDF that you select together, and the stone detail is cut on each side. And so those went together, but it's just stone, so there's not really a lot of detail there. But they weren't expensive, so overall, I was pretty impressed. So I think, for the amount of money that we spent, actually great value overall, depending on what you're trying to get out of it.
Yeah, I bought a set of those low town walls, actually 2 sets. I really like them. That might be one of my favorite wall kits I've made and put together.
Yeah, it's nice. They're straightforward. You've got 2 corner pieces. They fit together really, really well. I didn't have to do any kind of extra manipulation with filing down or anything like that. And then they have the capstones on top of it as well. And so it's like 3-4 piece kits, but because of the actual thought and engineering in it, you get really nice looking walls. So yeah, well done.
Yeah, I think that the kit you got, Dale, is right around $200 for the retail price on that.
Yeah, I think it's listed at $270 Canadian, and so it's like around $200. So
give or take the exchange rate when you get it.
Right. So
still a pretty good value, and I think this is one of those things where it's
to cover an entire. If you're not doing anything, it covers 1 6x4 space without doing anything to the buildings. And like I said, I'm actually basing them within block structures and for streets and things like that. And I'm going to have so many buildings left over that I can probably fudge it into 2 buildings or two boards.
I heard you just say you can do 3 tables for the tournament.
Well, I'd have to buy another mat. And we'll see. And that would be another table that looked exactly like another one, and we don't want to do that.
It'd be okay. It'd be like its own zone. I will say the one thing I really like about this, and this is maybe what some would consider a drawback, but I actually think might work for this one, especially for this company in particular, is that it's the architecture. It's kind of architecturally agnostic. So there's not any one particular style. So it's not like you're definitely in France. The nice thing about that is you can almost play 40K with the same terrain if you paint it in a way.
This set, I agree.
Like it would work in almost any setting. It's not. It's a little more abstracted than some of the other ones, which I think is okay. I think that's something to be said.
Yeah, the Mega Urban Warzone is not architecturally time period specific. So if you do play multiple game systems from a timeline perspective, that there are additional legs. But Pat, you picked up like a Normandy specific building, didn't you?
I did. So the kit I got a cottage in ruins, which looks architecturally very similar to what the Normandy house in ruins was the other kit I got, and that's a phenomenal kit. That just blew my mind when I put that thing together. It's got the same double-sided stuff that the foreground did, but none of it's pre-painted, which, given how if you look at the website and how they actually have the final painting up, I don't know how you could do this kit with the pre-painted the way foreground does, because they're just, one color, let the etching take care of it. This has got the stone-ish look. It's got the stone base, it's got the stucco-y, and then the dark brown timbers, so you couldn't do this in the same style that foreground does. The kit went together beautifully. The shingling that they have on it had very nice diagram. It was very easy to follow, and it layered together just wonderful. So it was a lot of MDF, and a lot of the shingling was gray board, but yeah, it was a great kit, and the cottage was like a 20-minute put together. It had the same double-sided stuff, so you're seeing texture on both sides. It's obviously meant for you to see the outside and the inside all at the same time, which, since it's got, there's no top on it, obviously you're going to see the inside. Great kit. I really like it. I told him, hey, you know what, get more of these together. And in fact, he does have another one that he sent me, which actually is one of the prizes he sent us that will be in our giveaway for the tournament. And I'm trying to think what the name was right off the top of my head, but it was another building. It was like the 15th century building, which looks like it's the exact same type of kit that he put together. And I'm just basing this on the pictures I've looked at it on the website. I haven't opened the kit up or anything. It's totally intact. It'll be a prize, a giveaway. But it, just saying, it looks really good. It looks like the same thing. And he said, yeah, that's kind of the way we're going. We're seeing that trend. And so he's moving forward that way. Really cool kit. Like it a lot.
Yeah, that kit in particular, when Pat brought it in, I was looking at that. I really enjoy, having assembled a number of MDF from different companies and different game systems. I always enjoy you can see the engineering and the thought behind the design of these buildings and how they all came together. And that building was probably one of the most impressive kits that I've seen come out. I really liked it. And the shingles, actually the thought that they put into the shingles of the kit, it's not a symmetry when it's put together. It's kind of, you get this random effect of how it all comes together, kind of a little bit haphazard, but it's definitely engineered. It's a really clever thing. Well done. So.
And to be fair, that's a retail kit for around $37 US. So it's a little bit getting into the pricier range than what some of the other stuff is, but
sure,
the detail I'm seeing out of it is just it was a really great kit to put together. Also, same thing is when you're putting this back to back, make sure you have your clothespin clips to hold those.
And so this house, though, it sounds like it's like the first one in the size, so there's not,
He's got that one, and in the same scale, I think this might have been the second one, because it looks like the Cottage in Ruins has been around there a little longer, but it's got the same, the same Normandy look to it, and he's got the 15th century house, which I don't remember, might be an intact building.
It looks intact.
So.
Okay. So again, maybe he's early on in that range, so something to look out for. Now, when it comes to, is it going to work with other terrain companies, other buildings you put on the board? This mega urban war zone, I can't see it working with like the Normandy kits or any 15th century kind of things. These are just kind of destroyed buildings, almost apartment style. But if you do the mega urban war zone, you're getting all those buildings together, and as long as you can throw some variety with the additional detail you put on, I think they're okay. But none of those buildings would work set up with, Sarissa or Foreground, or even the ruined building, the other kit that Pat got. Pat, do you feel like that one Normandy building, that one kit, is that going to sit fine with the other stuff, or?
It's going to work really good with the rest of the, oddly enough, the Normandy style terrain I have, the hedgerows from the next company we're going to talk about. And I also had picked up some little corner things from like Gale Force 9, just kind of a one-off thing they had done that were, again, Normandy buildings. So they're in that same theme, and they do fit together both scale-wise. And I should probably, once I finish painting it, I'm like, 85% done painting this Normandy building in ruins, and put it side by side with the Gale Force that I had, which is pre-painted kit, and they look really comparable. So I don't see any problem with those mixing and matching.
All right, nice, because
cool.
I think, when you think about putting a table together, you don't want, the same four buildings intermixed. So it is nice to get, a little bit from everybody else, as long as it still works together.
Well, that's good, because I only have 3 of the cottage. I'm glad you said 4.
Nice. All right. I mean, so I've only put one together. I only put one of your buildings together, Dale, although it was one of the bigger ones. I will say, from my perspective of putting it together, I felt like it was good as quality when you put it all together as a lot of other ones, but I feel like there was a lot of gluing pieces to pieces, not putting tabs together, which might have actually been better. You don't see those weird pieces, but there were times where I felt like, am I really supposed to glue this piece to that piece? Like I don't know. Maybe it was
Yeah.
my just like my first time at it, but there were a lot of pieces where I felt like I was gluing flat to flat instead of like trying to like put tabs together. I don't know.
Flat edge to
It's
flat edge. Yep. There's not a lot of there's not a lot of tabs.
Sure.
There is some, but like the outside walls to the floors and things like that, it's if it's a tab, then it's a 3-inch tab. So,
right.
But yeah, flat edge to flat edge. There's definitely more of that than most others. But those were big pieces,
right?
Covering a lot of space, so you wouldn't necessarily want small tabs in that scenario.
Sure.
So having transported them and stacked them, I have no issues with breaking or anything like that. So, or separation so far. So
okay,
it's still
yeah. I mean, I that was one of my things. I don't know that it's a durability issue. It's more about like. Maybe everyone else is over engineering their stuff. Maybe this is kind of a better approach, and I also maybe it kind of helps make it a little bit cheaper to produce, probably, to not have all those extra holes and stuff. So I feel like I don't know. What do you think, Dale? What do you think the value is on Zulk? Do you think it's a good buy as far as like what you get for your money?
I do actually. With the walls and the mega urban war zone for sure, I've been really happy. I mean, less than $200 or right around $200, enough buildings to cover a 6x4 board is unbelievable. That's maybe even a third of what some of the other companies are that we've talked about. So
sure.
Not bad.
And again, like we said, it could probably double in multiple game systems if you're into 40K.
Right.
I think it would be very easy to work in 40K or.
Yeah, it's scalable across game systems, depending upon how you put it together and how you paint it and stuff like that.
Right.
So, and
awesome.
and as with anything else, with the stuff that you're painting, the more time you put into it, then the more rewards you're going to find.
Right, and that's part of it is that if you have to like making terrain. We've all found that we liked terrain, or making terrain. It's kind of like we're all railroad hobbyists all of a sudden, but we get to play a game too. So. It's pretty neat. All right, so we got one more to cover tonight, and then we're going to move into other topics because this is kind of a lot. We're covering a lot of these, and maybe we'll start breaking them down a little bit more each episode instead of like actually talking about them in all together. So we're kind of making our one big load here, and then we'll scatter some more in a little later. So the last one is WWC Nix, which I have not had the fortune of being able to order any of their stuff yet because I've just not been buying it yet for whatever reason. But I have a feeling I will be making a bulk order in the near future. So I know that Pat has ordered some of this. Correct?
Oh yeah, I did the. They have their Bokages kit. I've got some roads from them. I even got an Oasis piece that is just sitting idle, waiting for me to have some other concepts to work around with it. It's really nice, detailed stuff. The Bocage kits are by far my favorite, and I think Dale had mentioned that he, saw them like the way the kit looked and got the same thing. I'd be really interested to see how much better his looked than mine, since Dale actually has that little extra detail. Just a jibe there, Dale. I'm sure mine are fantastic.
They are. I'm hoping that mine turned out as well as yours did. So I saw yours and I loved them, so I'm like, that would look great. So I did it.
So the one thing I will say about the kit is they're bocage. So the whole thing is that there's the earthen mound underneath the shrubbery, if you will, and trees and stuff that actually exist in there. And the really cool thing they do with the kit is intricately in there, all of a sudden they have like a rabbit or like an armadillo or some little critters that are just randomly within there that you can actually like hedge this little spongy material around that is the actual the bushes for it, and just kind of hide them as much as you want to, or show them. And it's kind of cool that they actually thought like, hey, you know what? There's a critter in the middle of this thing. Why not put it in there? It's very clever. I have a tendency to do way too much upfront work on stuff that I end up covering with all the actual foliage anyway. But I don't know how much I'm going to cover it until I put it on there, so I have to paint it all. Great kit for the value. Highly recommend getting numerous kit number 5s, which are the ones that give you 2 6-inch straights, and I think it's 3-inch, and then a couple corners or something like that. I forget exactly. I've bought so many of the different kits, I forget exactly what you get and what. But Awesome kits, and I've also gotten their road sections from them, which are also very good. I think they're just a little narrow, just a little off scale for what 28 millimeter is, but I also think they're too big for 15 millimeter, so I'm not really sure where they're supposed to land in. But I've thrown them on the table. You guys have seen them before. You get a pretty nice collection of what you get for the price. They are coming for UK, so if you're going to order some, order a bunch so you save on the shipping. And they are available on Amazon too. So,
yeah, I got mine through Amazon, and I ordered. It took about a week, was all. Once they dispatched the package, which they did within 24 hours when I ordered it. So I picked up a lot of their craters too, because I thought that would fit in well with the ruined city town center that I'm building. So, and I think it's going to be great. I think it'll work out really well. So, and not bad value, actually good value in my opinion. So,
I don't know any other company that makes actual bocages. I mean, there's companies that do hedgerows, and you can kind of wing your own hedgerows together. But I mean, these are fantastic kits. They look great. They're wider. They're more stout. And again, for the Americans, I always called the bocages hedgerows anyway, but apparently there's a real difference, and only researching is the fact that these bocages have that earthen mass behind them, so they were more difficult for the tanks to actually cut through than hedgerows, which are just simply, it sounds like, just a rows of hedges or trees that were just grown up and without the earthen mass behind them, from what I understand.
That's pretty correct, yeah.
But apparently all Americans referred to either one of them as hedgerows.
Americans, we kind of tend to do that. Don't make distinctions until historians get a hold of it later on.
Right. That's part of the fun of being American, though, right?
Something like that, yeah. Everybody looks the same to us.
Yeah, most. Anyway. Yeah, all right. So, I mean, anything else about WWC Next that we want to talk about right now? I think we'll have more to update on that later when some of the rest of us order it.
Yeah, I haven't ordered anything from them, so I have no opinion except to say the stuff I've seen looks good.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say what I've seen Pat put together looks great. So I'm excited to get to. I need bocage for some stuff, so it's an easy buy for me. So
the kit's super easy to put together. Literally, take it out and it's the plastic resin, so make sure you scrub it with soap and water before you prime it.
Yep, of course.
And that's it. You scrub it, you prime it, you paint it, you put the stuff on it, done. I did 2 number 5s and 2 number 3s. The kit numbers, if you look them up, you know what that means. And it's a lot.
It sounds like an order menu of Wendy's or something.
Pretty much. It's short order. Give me order.
Yeah, I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large, number 43 with extra dip.
Mambo number 5. No. So the picture I posted to our website was 2 kit number 5s, 2 kit number 3s, and I kid you not, I turned them out within less than 10 hours actual hobby time.
Okay.
Start to finish.
Cool. All right. So they're easy to put together too. I mean, to be fair, I think probably most bocages are probably pretty easy to put together. I'm just going to say they're...
Well, I do the prime, I do the paint, I do a wash. I come back with 2 different highlights, and then I kind of pick out some of the detail, the stones and the little critters, and then the worst thing is gluing the actual foliage onto it, because it's so spongy that you can't use the PVA glue because it doesn't dry fast enough to hold there.
Okay.
So you have to use the super glue, but you're in contact with a spongy material which transfers super glue to what you're holding it, i.e. your fingertips.
Oh, that's fun.
It burns. I'm not going to lie. It burns a little bit. But you
don't touch your eyes.
Just get past... No, I'm not talking about your eyes. I'm talking about the fact that you've got this glue that's already stuck to your fingertip and now is transferring through the spongy material, and you can't let it go. And even if you could, you couldn't pull that stuff off your fingertip anyway.
Sure.
And if you try and use blue rubber gloves, all you're going to do is cut blue rubber off of your kit afterwards.
Well, and I think latex might actually melt with super glue, but
I do believe it does. Yeah.
I don't know that I'd highly recommend ever doing that.
So there are bits and pieces of your fingers all over your bocage, is
right.
what you're telling us.
No, actually, the spongy material gives way first. And I still actually have a hint of green on one of my thumbnails from having put that together 3 days ago.
Jeez. All right. Well, I think we've probably gone on long enough about all these companies. Needless to say, we feel grateful for being able to, they've helped us get big orders together and, have given us some deals, but they, probably would give that to anyone if they order as much stuff as we have. So
yeah,
I will say without a doubt, if you're in the market for a bunch of stuff, these 4 companies we just talked about will probably get you some kind of deal. To anyone, it's not like they gave us a special deal. It's just if you order enough stuff, they'll give it to you. It's like, capitalism or something. These guys were great to work with as far as I'm concerned. They all seem to have, some relatively good customer service at some point. Anyone else? Anyone got any other thoughts about that?
No, man, that pretty much covers my thoughts on it.
All right. So we can go, this has been like super tournament heavy beginning. So let's talk about this is kind of hobby updates because I played a game 2 weeks ago. I think we played multiple games and you probably saw it on Facebook if you follow us on Facebook, that are related to the scenarios played that are going to be played at Operation Snafu. So Jeff wasn't there, but Pat had printed out several of the scenarios minus some key points during them. Basically we're testing the mechanics of the game. And I got to play one of those games against Kevin. And I can say without a doubt it was a super fun game. I hope Kevin had as much fun as I did. It was very hard fought. And it was a tough scenario, but it was very fair. And I felt like either side could have pulled it out. And it was just a nice tight game in general.
It was actually his first game ever, I believe, wasn't it?
Kevin's? No, I don't think so. He hadn't played for a
wasn't.
While. He's got 2 armies. I don't think this is his first game ever.
It was his first game playing with us. So
right,
his first game playing Rick.
It was his first game against a Snafu guy. That's what he told me before we played. So he said he got to play against a Snafu guy. So which doesn't mean anything.
Targets on our back or something?
Apparently we do, and he picked the right guy to play first. Apparently.
So you smoked him, right? Held up the name?
No. I came really close, so it came down to...
This is Rick, he who loses to children and women.
Whoa. That's a long time ago. Long time ago, guys. Long time ago.
So you beat him then?
Different game system. No, we actually ended our game in a draw, which is, I know, not something we were really looking forward to.
Hang on. Did you apologize for that?
No, I didn't. No, it was... I had him up against the ropes until the last round. And I rolled...
let him go.
Who the hell's landing a plane over their head?
Hang on, that's me. I got a window open here.
He's near the airport, so...
Wow.
I am near the airport, sorry.
I'm near the airport, too. I'm surprised I didn't hear the same plane over my head.
Because that was taking off.
Oh, okay. Go in the other direction, then.
There's a storm coming, so they put them out over my head when the storm's coming.
Gotcha.
Hey,
they normally fly over my head when
they
value. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, it's like the one time I ever hear them.
Yeah, so the scenario I played was there were 3 objectives on the board, and it was scored every turn round. So if you held if you held more objectives than your opponent, I think you scored a point, or it was 1 point per an objective you held.
Should be 1 point per objective.
Yeah, that's what it was. Now I remember. So I'm just going to give some strategy thoughts as to what I thought it played like, because I feel like that game or that scenario definitely favored super highly aggressive strategies. Like, you need to be up in that stuff right away, and then if you're not going to be right up in it, you better be defending it in some fashion before your opponent becomes super hyper aggressive on it. It was really fun. It was and it admittedly came down to, I had my left flank scored 2 points and then collapsed. My right flank held the entire game, and then we were fighting over the center, and so I assaulted. And had I been able to regroup 1 inch further towards the objective, I would have won the game. As it was, he scored 1 more point than me in the last round to tie it. So I was up points until the very last round, and then he was able to pull it out at the end. And that was, wow. Yeah, there's a heck of a thunderstorm coming in. And that was only because I needed a 3-inch regroup to get on top of the objective, and I only rolled a 2. So it was a really fun battle. It was really tough, and I think it took a lot of thinking. It was a very thoughtful game, and I thought that was really fun. Or maybe it was only on my side. I can't speak for Kevin, but I had to think pretty hard about it. It looked like he was having a good time, though, so that's really the important thing.
He looked really intimidated playing the entire game. He kept going like, I don't think, I wish I was playing late war. I wish I was playing late war.
Yes, he was playing Americans, and he did feel like he might have been. I had a lot of little units with machine guns, and which was actually really good in this scenario because I was able to be on objectives.
His airstrike was fine the first time. The second time, it helped you out a lot, which, those type of things happen.
Yep.
But I remember kind of going back and forth between you two and Jesse and Chris, who was another new player that had come in. As those type of things happen, Jesse and I were supposed to play, but when newer people come in, I'd rather give them a chance to play and just kind of help everyone learn the game. So they were playing a different scenario. Which one are they playing? They were playing the sectors, Jeff, that you had come up with, where we have the 9 sectors across the board.
Yes, good. How'd that one go?
Well, I could say that the preparatory bombardment, both of them hit it, and both of them put about 2 pins in every frickin' unit on the table.
Oh, lovely.
And each of them only kept 1 unit in reserve. And I looked at them both and said, knowing that, would you keep more units in reserve? They're like, So... I kind of just cut snippets here and there. The one thing that kind of stood out, and I will say that just and I told Chris this. He's a newer player. He's played bolt action. He's one of those fellows who's just kind of looking for a place, and I hope he comes back. He hasn't heard our podcast or anything, so this won't dissuade him anyway. Of course, he listens to him now, I'm sure. But he had a Menards yardstick he was using to measure things.
Oh, good Lord!
And I told him, I said, so what's up with that? Just trying to be intriguing. And he's like, well, kind of a nostalgic feel to everything. I'm like, okay, I get that. And that's probably fine in a setting like this. But I will tell you, in a tournament, that's not going to be acceptable. Because you can't get it down on the table. You can't measure things accurately. And even Jesse was kind of a little flustered a couple times. Like, yeah, he's kind of approximating and waving these things above the tables and, not knocking terrain over. And he's probably getting a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch in his movement towards or down on the table. That's a different thing. Now, Jesse might have been saying that because he just obliterated him off the board and he was playing Romanians with 3 HEs, which is disgusting. But yeah, Jesse took it to the teeth, and it didn't really come down to... It didn't get a fair shake to the sector scenario that we had laid out because it was just simply... Jesse ran into a bad wave of dice and just got eradicated, had 2 units left that wouldn't have counted anyway.
Well, that never happens to Jesse, so,
I'm just saying the recap I saw, that's all.
Yeah,
right.
Right on.
Sure
right
enough.
on.
So I think that scenario is really nice and really unique. It's a good twist, and a lot of the stuff that you have, Jeff, and put together for this is a good twist in what the actual base rules have. And the one that Rick played, he alluded to earlier, was kind of a twist from a previous game that we played before. And I think it's really nice. I just want to see this one played again by a couple unwilling victims.
The sectors one or the other one?
Yeah, the sectors one. I don't know if that really got a fair shake behind it.
Sure.
So
I was going to say, I feel like the one I played, I think we've played a couple times. I mean, maybe we need to play it a couple more times, but I feel like it's a pretty solid scenario in general. I think I've played it 2 or 3 times now, and I actually have had a blast playing it. So
the only thing that I still, from a natural standpoint of history and stuff like that, as far as World War II, is I don't understand how holding a small piece of objective for a day or something weighed into that much of an accomplishment. To where every turn we're talking about. So we're talking. There's 3 objectives. And every turn you get a point if you hold them and you're not contested.
Mm-hmm.
And
sure.
Maybe Jeff can help elude me and bring me into this full flow. That's just the one. That's just the one I really kind of struggled with, and I was kind of writing it out with the rules wise for you, Jeff.
Well,
I get the funsies part of it.
Be covering a retreat.
That's what I was thinking. Is Dunkirk is a perfect example. Hold this road for 3 hours so we can move everyone else out.
Yeah, sure. The classic is
guard.
the rear guard action. Yeah, that's the classic version of it. But you got to remember, there's also a lot of psychological value into are we winning or losing this battlefield? I mean, every inch of a battlefield isn't covered with guys. This isn't, Napoleonics where you're going to see huge lines of guys. It's pockets, it's strategic areas that get held, and you realize we either don't have enough resources to reassault that or what. So if the enemy holds 3 strategic positions, say, in this area, they control the area, and we need to get out of here before we're going to get overrun. So that's kind of it's kind of hard to explain without giving you a really long dissertation on military tactics that everyone's going to fall asleep through. So
that's probably a different podcast, I imagine.
Yeah. But the general idea is holding critical locations on a battlefield gives you control of the battlefield.
Actually, I would have accepted because at this point.
Because Jeff said so.
Because Jeff said so,
Yeah.
So just do it.
Just deal with it. No, and having played it multiple times now, I don't feel like it is like. It doesn't feel. Maybe it's a little abstracted, but it's not. It doesn't feel unnatural, right? It feels like a lot of other scenarios as far as bolt action goes, as far as like capture and hold objectives and stuff like that. It's very similar to that. It's just
well there's the
turn-based.
top secret, which is go somewhere, get something, move it back.
Right.
This is go somewhere, sit there, and trying to get killed on it.
Well, prevent your opponent. It's more about preventing your opponent from getting on it, right?
As much as it is taking it, sure.
Right. As much as taking it is preventing your opponent from getting to it.
Yeah,
so that could be any that could be a machine post or a machine gun
Rick,
post or whatever.
Who could take an objective on that? What was the clarifications or classifications?
So in ours it was any infantry unit that was not a small team could take it. Any vehicle could contest it. And if you had a transport with a unit inside it, they could occupy it, or they could.
If the unit fit the classification of could take
right,
it.
even if the unit
team
was not on the table, but they were in the truck that was on top of the objective, they could capture it.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, yeah. So it was basically any infantry unit that was
not
a small team, which made it.
But a small team could contest it. And
correct.
You really exploited the crap out of that.
I maybe did.
Maybe did. I watched the glimmer in your eyes. You got to do it.
Oh yeah, well I did. I got to do a bunch of stuff. That was. I mean, I was playing shenanigans with Kevin the whole time. I probably got the nicer side of the table because I had a lot more covering 2 of the points.
And why did you get that table?
Because he was lazy and didn't take the other side.
The lazy gamer rule.
Yeah, the lazy gamer rule. That's not something you should ever do. Is if you get, and that table is fairly
serious
balanced.
About winning.
The table is fairly balanced, but the right side of the table I had all of the Quonset huts on it. So I had a nice little area of being able to like play this koi game where I was kind of avoiding his tank and able to like kind of move back and forth, basically get my a massive infantry to the objective I felt I needed to get it to at that point. So it was kind of nice because I was able to move back and forth between 2 objectives pretty easily. Kind of bit me in the ass at the end because, like I said, I needed 1 more inch to basically contest that middle objective to give me the win. But, it was, I was able to do a little more cat and mouse than he was. And then I sent my lieutenant on kind of a suicide mission to contest on turn 5. I was able to contest just running my first lieutenant out and basically sitting there ready to get shot. So he knew he was going to die, but he was not going to let him have that point. So it's an interesting scenario.
Good soldier.
He was leading by example. So
amazing. Those little plastic men follow everything you tell them. That's awesome.
Right? Not always. I had a couple failed orders. I had one unit decide to foobar himself off the table, and a couple other things. My dice were not. I won't say they were the greatest, but they weren't bad. They were first run with the Snafu dice that also, if you've seen them on Facebook, they're on Facebook. They didn't roll super great for me. I hear somebody else's dice were hotter than mine, but whatever. I don't know. It was like I said, it was a very fun game. I appreciated playing Kevin, and I thought it was a great test of the scenario as far as how that plays out. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe the only thing we might need to do that is different that we haven't done yet is play it at 1,200 points or 1,250 just to see how it plays differently at that point level. Because it could play very differently if it's a very much more swarmy if there's a lot more stuff on the table,
And
it
if
could be
you
very
let him
interesting.
play late war instead of early war, I couldn't
Sure.
tell you the number of times I heard him comment about that.
You know, it's funny because I hear him say that, and then I'm like, he still had BARs.
You still
had
the
a
same
bazooka.
point value, and it's a point value game, and
Right.
it really comes down to that. So
He had most of the toys that I would have expected from a U.S. player. He had an air observer.
Yep.
He had a bunch of move and shoot dudes. That's the only thing that's a real hindrance early war because he had to play Operation Torch is that he had 2 units of inexperience, and he minimized those to be able to buy the rest of his guys up. So
No, his list was fine.
no, it was fine. Yeah,
I watched the game, and I really thought he stayed back way too much. And like you said,
Probably.
this scenario in particular is an aggressive scenario. You
Right.
have to get up. You have to move. You can't wait back for things to happen. You have to get up there and do things yourself. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, spoiler alert, I didn't design hardly any of these scenarios to be sit back and wait.
no, I like that about it, and this is definitely one of those where it does definitely favor the more aggressive player in most circumstances. But
That's
I
not
think
to
he
say
was
speed is important, but aggressive play is important.
right.
Yep.
Now, Jesse and
Yes.
we tested the Partisan scenario, and this one's speed may in fact be important. So 3 objective points, they're buildings.
Well,
and
never
there's a
mind what I just
partisan.
said then.
Well, it's just this one scenario.
Okay.
There's a
You're
partisan.
going to have to play all of them.
Yeah, there's a
But-
partisan in each building, and then the first infantry squad to occupy that building captures the partisan and collects those points. And so, Jesse, what he was going to try to do was he was sweeping around his flank to secure the partisan on his, and this is diagonal deployment, so you're deploying in a corner and then moving across the battlefield. There's a sentry located building with one partisan that secures you the most points, and then there's partisan buildings on the opposite sides in the other corners. Securing them is like fewer points. But if you secure the 2 outside ones and not the middle one, I think you scored enough points to win. So he rolled up a big IS-2 or some huge Soviet tank, and his plan was to blow up the building in the middle and then blow up the building on the extreme flank and win the game by securing the one on his flank.
It sounds like a Russian strategy.
And, because he's rolling 3d6 hits on the buildings when he hits them, but he could just never blow up any buildings. So I pulled the partisan out of the middle building on like turn 3 and then got the next partisan on the extreme flank on turn 5 or something. And my Snafu dice love indirect fire, and I was locking his units advancing on the far flank. So he never got into the building, and then that was pretty much the end of it at the end of the game. So speed, would definitely make a huge difference in this scenario. If you load into a transport, could jet across the board and get into the building early to get the partisan. So, that's how that one worked out.
Interestingly enough, some of that's the last scenario I designed for this, so it's still getting a little tweak.
Yeah.
There may be more tweaks coming to that one, actually. I had a couple other ideas I wanted to play test Thursday night if someone's up for it, so
yeah. But yeah, we're getting some playtesting in. So it was interesting because if you got into the building early and got the partisan, then that essentially nullified that particular objective. And depending upon how it plays, if you're matched up with someone with transports and they get into the objectives super early, then the game could be over like really fast. So tweaks might be, or that might be something to think about. I don't know.
that is actually one of the tweaks, is to keep the game from ending in 30 minutes if someone's all mounted.
Yeah, that doesn't make for a good tournament game if it ends in 20
Yeah, I thought
minutes.
Jeff, you and I had talked about that when you were asking for objectives for that particular one.
Mm-hmm.
That would certainly stop that right
Yep.
cold.
That will be what we're going to test on Thursday night. I'm going to be testing that with
Okay.
somebody who's willing to guinea pig a scenario for me. So.
And the other question I had, Dale, is what list were you guys running?
We were running our campaign lists, I think, so 800 points.
Okay, so you were in a
Well, not our
turn
campaign,
selector.
but it was 800. It was 800. Oh no, wait! I was running an early war, the new Empire in Flames list that let me bring 2 medium
3
mortars
HE?
and a medium howitzer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Good
disgusting.
Oh,
People
it's
bug you or
brutal.
hate me for that, but yeah, it's a lot of fun when you play it. Not a lot of fun when you play against it.
Yeah, I played.
Especially as you mentioned, you alluded to your HE dice were on.
Yeah, I
fire.
played Jesse this last Thursday, and
You did it again.
it was in the campaign this time, in Jeff's campaign game, and Jesse's in the middle of a French chateau in the middle of the building. He's got to defend that objective for the game, and in turn 2, my medium howitzer dropped on it. I rolled 2 dice, hit 10, and blew 2 of his 2 best units off the table. So yeah, he wasn't feeling too good about it at that point in time. But yeah, Snafu dice. If you're like your HE indirect fire, get some Snafu dice because wow.
And you can buy those at. Wait, no, we don't have set that up yet. Never mind.
They're not for sale. You kidding me? I have to paint all those damn stars. I'm not doing that for everybody.
Yeah, Rick, you need to come in on a Thursday night. I want to get my Snafu dice after seeing Dale roll his. Jeez.
You need to come when I show up. I've been there like for the last month.
You weren't
except
there
for
this
last
Thursday.
week.
Yeah,
I was there
this next week.
Well,
and
now
when
I'm
the
in
dice were
mine.
there too. Hey, I got mine.
I know, right? Everyone else has gotten theirs. You're the only one that hasn't gotten any yet.
Jeez, Rick, you could have left him with somebody.
Hey,
jerk.
Jeff, I can sell you.
Oh, no,
10
no,
of them
I
for
got
about
$15.
twice the cost of whatever I paid Rick for it.
I don't
It should
even
be
know what
easy
you
'cause
paid
I forgot
for
what
it.
I paid. So
I was just say,
let's
I
just
don't
call
know
it
what you paid.
$100. Done deal.
I don't know. I think I got a pretty big chunk of them, so I know I owe you some money. So
Yeah.
anyway,
I was going to say, I don't know if there's enough of them left. Hopefully, there's enough
hey,
left. No, there's.
be.
I think I have 40 left unpainted. I think that's all I have left unpainted, and I think I have 60 of them still painted. So I think we'll probably have enough. I know. I feel like they're going really fast, but
Wow.
we've given them out to club mates at this point. So that's.
Well, son of a bitch, man! I put in an order for 50 of them, man. You're killing me here.
Oh, you can have 50. You can have 50.
There's only 40 left, but you can have 50.
No,
Yeah,
there's
right?
40 unpainted.
Oh, okay.
And there's 60-ish, I think, painted still sitting in.
So it's safe to say, tournament-wise, we're not going to be doing the buy the reroll dice thing.
No, we're not doing that. No matter what we were doing, we were never
Oh
doing
my god!
This game does
No.
not.
Yeah, like
really
drive over to
forgive
your
that.
house so you don't just give them all away before I ever get any of these.
I have not given them away. I'll say that right now. I've not given a single one away. I've had people sell them or buy them, not sell them. They're going to become a hot commodity
it's a new
quick here,
crack.
apparently.
It's outstanding. The first one's free, but the next 10 will cost you.
There you
Right?
go.
No, yeah. No, we'll see. If we might have to make another order if we're going to give them away at anything. So we'll see what happens. We're not necessarily.
They're
But
really
they
good.
look cool.
So yeah, they look great and they roll really well. So
I
Right.
can't say this enough times that when you have a dice that you're using in a competition game, when you roll them and they land on the table, there should be no doubt or squinting or leaning over as to what the hell they say. And
Right.
these dice definitely say that. They're white on black. They pop. It's instant. You know, I can't tell you the number of times I see people who like have to lean over and have to turn their dice to see what it says. And you hope they're not spinning it. It's just like, seriously, dude, that's a dice you should not have when you're playing a game with another person.
If you can't even read your own dice, that's a
Yeah.
problem. But
Right.
still,
Long
no matter
ago,
what.
in a different game, the dude actually had to pick the dice up and hold it within 3 inches of his eyeball. And I'm like, okay, you need new dice.
right? They make high contrast dice for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
here's probably my best Snafu dice story. So I was playing Jesse and I had locked in. I had sixed his armored car. And so his armored car had already moved, so I landed. I hit it. I didn't penetrate, but and then at the start of the next turn, I was locked in. So I went ahead and fired again, and he recce'd away. And I was like, "Oh shoot, I forgot about recce." And so he moves all the way to the other side of the board, and but he moved in such a way that my spotter could still see him because I bring spotters for all my indirect now. And
Excellent
I'm like,
job, Dale.
Smooth.
Thank you.
Good job, Dale.
I've learned. And I'm like, oh, all right. So what? I need a 6. He's like, yeah. And I rolled it 6.
Oh, that's terrible.
So, I think what I did was I had the big pile of dice there, and I reached down to pick it up, and there's one that was already showing the little snafu. So no, not that one. It's already 6. I picked up a different one and rolled it, and it came up a 6. And he almost table flipped me right there. But yeah, snafu dice is a good time.
Yeah, that might piss people off. Let's continue to make friends.
It's not as bad as calling a foo bar, but
No,
Hey,
true.
hey,
true,
hey,
true,
I've only
true.
done that twice, and the 2 times I called it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
So yeah, that's a very long hobby / tournament update that we've done there. So we're going to take a short break and come back and we'll talk about the partisan list. Yeah, that's where we're going to leave it. We'll see you back in 3 minutes.
All right.
Welcome back. It seems like forever ago, but it's only been 3 minutes. So we're going to dive into the Partisans list. I don't know if there's anything we want to say about this. I think that we were just discussing off air what this actually means. Does somebody want to give us a rundown on what is the Partisan Army and what is it actually supposed to represent?
No,
I think that's a Jeff question.
No,
Yeah.
all right. Yeah, no, it is. So, Partisans in the book, the cool thing is that this will represent everything, every occupied country during the war. So you can have these guys representing the French partisans or the Polish partisans, the Croatian partisans, the Yugoslavian partisans, just about anything else. Yeah, just about everything. It's pretty intense. So
these are partisans against the Axis.
yes, in this case, they will be partisans against the Axis.
Okay.
Now, I don't know that it would be entirely impossible to make partisans against the Allies. I just don't know what the historical context for that would be.
Well, we had someone swap over an Operation Snafu to Spanish partisans
well, there you
for
go.
Germany.
Sure,
So-
yeah, absolutely.
We also
I guess that
had
would be a case for it.
the British fascist whatever.
Yes.
I can't remember
Union.
what is it the BFU is that what
British
it is?
Union of Fascists. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the buff army. Is that? I mean, I would imagine that might fit into the partisans.
Yeah, no, that'd be where I would put them if I were going to make a list in standard bolt action, not sea line. Yeah.
So this is kind of an interesting list where it's not really a single nationality. It's kind of like the underlings, or not the underlings, but the
underlings.
like the I'm trying to think of the right word for it, but
So basically, a partisan is someone who's a strong supporter of a party or cause, and not necessarily the one that's in power of the regime. So
Right.
this book in particular, it's in France and the Allies, so they're gearing these lists towards the Allies. In particular, they touch on the ones in Yugoslavia is what they really highlight in the book. Yugoslavia, Serbia, Chechnya, and they focus on was it Field Marshal or General Tito?
Yeah, Tito, yeah.
So this is where the book itself is leading to what they're kind of developing for this army selection.
Yep.
The other stuff that you guys mentioned, I'm certainly you can take whatever list and say that hey they're this but they're not this. I guess. I mean,
Yeah,
hey,
put
it's a game, right?
I'm going to stick a pin in that because while I was doing my best thinking in my best thinking room in the house, I was thinking that this would actually be a really cool list to use if you were going to make like a Dirty Dozen list from the movie The Dirty Dozen. This is the list I would use rather than an American list because this reflects more of what you would get in that setup. Because it's not an organized army; it's a disorganized army.
Right. They also compare it similarly to what the French Resistance was.
Yes.
Before they actually got tanks and organized troops and stuff like that, which hence the armies of France. But yeah, they're not organized at all. It's a good call, Jeff. Good distinction there. Is that they're basically a collection of spies and saboteurs all working towards a common goal, which is not to the regime that's in power in the country they're in.
Right. You could use them to. I mean, sorry, tangent of history here. The best organized freedom fighters, partisans, were absolutely the Polish. I mean, they spent the entire occupied time during the war clandestinely coming up with ranks and a whole army of underground operatives, so that during the war, when the Russians got close to Warsaw, the Poles almost succeeded in taking over the city. Like, they almost took it back from the Germans. That's how good they were. And then, of course, the Russians didn't want to deal with them, so they kind of just stopped outside the city and let the Germans crush them, so that the Russians didn't have to deal with them after the war, which was kind of sad if you're Pole. But
sounds kind of sad.
But they do also do single out the Polish Home Army in here.
Yeah. Yes.
So.
Okay.
So we get a lot of variety is what we're getting at here.
Which is different than the Polish army itself, which is a different list.
Completely different, yeah. Yep.
I forget if that's in this book or in something else.
It is in this book.
Yep.
Yes. Yep.
And it's probably just early war, I would assume.
Correct, yeah. Correct.
Yeah, the first
6 weeks.
Yeah. I was going to say, first couple weeks anyway.
Super early war, yes.
So early they may not have realized that it was actually a war.
Oh,
World War anyway.
I don't know,
Right.
I don't know if a lot of people realized it was a war yet.
Only the Germans really realized they were at war.
Right. They started it. Anyway, all right, so let's go into, I mean, it overall seems like it's a fairly flexible list. It's kind of it almost seems like an outline for a lot of different things.
It does. So they have a little quirks in them. So they have the standard reinforced platoon selector, but in the FAQ, they actually said you have to delete the 0-1 captain or major out of the reinforced platoon. So they cannot have a captain or a major in a standard reinforced platoon.
Ouch.
Kind of makes sense if they're not very organized that they don't have that capability. Makes sense.
And we'll also touch more on their vehicle selectors as we get to it, because they've got a couple special asterisks by that too. But let's get to that as we get to it. Let's keep our format and go through what we do.
Right. All right, so let's start with the Army special rules. So, who wants to tell me what fieldcraft is?
Ooh, I'll take this one. So, fieldcraft, first off, lets you start, if you're starting hidden with one of your partisan units, you can also start in ambush for free. You just pull your order dice and set it next to them, which is awesome.
Any unit or just one unit?
Any.
Wow.
Starting is hidden.
So
can start an ambush.
First of all, the scenario has to allow you to start with hidden.
Oh, I see. So it doesn't allow you to be hidden.
No.
But if you are hidden, you can pull a dice and start an ambush. Yes, you can start the game
which is
in
cool.
ambush.
That is a pretty cool ability.
Yep. And the second part of it is, first turn of the game, all partisan infantry units treat all rough ground and obstacles as open ground for the purpose of movement.
Wait, this is the same rule?
Yes.
Same rule.
Wow. I like that.
So in the unlikely event your scenario starts you within 12 inches of somebody, you can charge out of cover, I think is what that means, and smoke someone.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd ever start within 12 inches of each other, but I guess.
It'd have to be a special scenario, but yeah.
Super special. I think they try and intentionally keep you from being able to ever do that.
If anything, it allows you to get up the field really quickly, which is awesome.
Yep.
Hold until relieved, you start 12 inches away from a unit.
If they're on the line, I suppose.
Well, you could really surprise somebody if they don't know the Army special rule.
Fair. Yeah, I mean...
And this is why I kind of wanted to get this one earlier rather than later, because when I first ran across it at Adepticon, someone was like, "Oh yeah, we're playing Partisans." I'm like, "What? And what is a partisan? What nation is that from?" They're like, "No, they're the Partisans." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So yeah, they got some sneaky stuff. They're not real mainstream, so kind of wanted to get them up at the front of the list.
They're like the hipsters of bolt action.
You know what? That's not too far off, I don't think.
Yeah.
They're like the underground. It's too cool for school. No, I mean, yeah, I actually never faced them, so I have no experience with them. But so far, so good. Let's go on to the next one. What's infiltration?
Well, that's a fun one. So if you're outflanking, you ignore the -1 modifier to order tests for coming on the board.
So they have a traffic cop.
Yeah, basically you get a free traffic cop.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. That's another nice ability.
Perfect knowledge
Traffic
of the
cop
trails.
is only for vehicles, but
Right.
this is for
Oh,
everybody.
fair. That's true.
Yeah, they
Good
have
point.
perfect knowledge of the trails and the paths through the harsh terrain, even if they're playing.
It's
in
their
the
it's their
desert or
homeland.
snowboard,
It
whatever.
makes sense.
Right. So
Yeah.
they're well researched, but the entire army is -1 to outflank.
They ignore the -1.
They ignore the -1. Right. Sorry, they ignore it. So it's, you're talking other armies that have that special forces units.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
no, fair enough.
that's pretty slick.
Yeah. No,
pretty
it's an
awesome.
awesome. Okay, and I don't know what this one is either, but this one sounds awesome.
This one's ridiculously highly contested, and people have had so many different interpretations. And they did do something in the FAQ, so we'll touch on that at the end of it too.
Okay.
So,
Well, I love Hidden Bomb myself, but okay.
It sounds cool. What is it?
Well, start of the game, you get to put 3 counters out on the table, 20 millimeter diameter, so basically like your base for a dude, right?
Sure.
These represent possibly bombs, booby traps, mines, IEDs, what we call them today, stuff like that. So anytime an enemy moves within 6 inches of it, you got to roll a die. 1, 2, or 3, the counter is revealed to be a phony and is removed without further effect. On a score of 4 or 5, nothing happens, but the next enemy unit to move within 6 inches must test again. In the event you roll a 6, it actually is a bomb. It explodes and hits the unit. Has the same stats as an explosive shell from a heavy howitzer. 3d6, d6 pin, plus 4 penetration. Once it's gone off, bombs are moved. Bombs only affect the unit that triggers them and not other units nearby. Bombs never affect partisan units, no matter how close.
So and here's what hit the FAQ. Obviously this book was written in version 1, and so everyone's been asking, well, does that mean now they're hitting with a template? And the response was no. It is 3d6 hits against it. So if a vehicle hits it or comes up against it, that's 3d6 plus 4 pen hits against that vehicle or tank.
Yep.
Say goodbye, tank.
They're pretty brutal.
Wow.
That's owie. Well, don't use your tanks to test partisan mines, I guess.
Now, here's the other thing. I'm going to throw this out here just because, it's Jeff being a douchebag day. If you put that marker out next to an objective, and then you use that first turn running fieldcraft to put your guys on that objective, I flippin' dare you to try and charge my guys.
Right.
Because there's a good chance, or there's at least a chance, you're going to be taking a heavy howitzer hit, and it will not hurt my partisans.
Right. Yeah.
That's
pretty
hardcore.
Brutal.
And I don't think
I really like these rules, actually.
Right. And I don't think there's anything that says the counters have to be spread out. They can just get put down anywhere.
Put 3 of them right next to each other next to the objective.
So you put 3 next to the main objective.
Whoosh.
And you get guys on it. I mean, whew.
Anywhere on the table outside of the other player's deployment zone.
Right.
Right, so you put them right next to each other, make them test 3 times.
Yeah.
Right.
Or repeatedly, depending if they stick around or not.
No, because they're never affected by it. If you roll a 5 or a 6 or a 4 or 5, they don't have to test again. Correct?
No, the next enemy unit to move within 6 inches
does.
Not that unit though.
Well,
if it's the next one to move, if it moves away from it, comes back. Yes, it would be.
Yeah. In fact, I would read that if you stopped and then moved again your next turn.
You're
the next enemy unit.
A double trigger.
Because it doesn't say different enemy unit; it says next.
And okay, so we're just to walk down this path that we're walking down about putting all 3 of them next to each other and being that guy. Does it say within range of any of them, or does it say? How does the beginning of that word worded so that it's not
first enemy unit that moves to within 6 inches of a counter must immediately roll a die. So so you're gonna and then the next enemy unit that moves within 6 inches must test again. Now it doesn't say different; it says the next time an enemy unit moves. So you'd test 3 times if you rolled 4 or 5 on all 3 of them.
Then you move
the
2
next
inches
time
at
you
a
move
time.
again, you're going to roll all 3 dice again.
Okay.
Now keep in mind, there's a 50% chance that this does nothing.
Right.
Your odds change significantly if they're all right next to each other. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the only reason why I was like, oh, that makes a difference, because otherwise I don't think it's as good. But you're right, if you put them all there.
And also keep in mind, it's at the start of the game that you're doing this, so after deployment, basically.
Right.
You tend to know where you're going to be
That's what I'm saying. If you know an objective, you can sit
Right.
them on it, and then, man, a 1 in 6 chance to eat a heavy howitzer though is brutal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you can almost hold down a flank with that, though. If you put them all kind of in a wall next to each other,
Yes.
you could do it on the opposite side of the field if you put them close enough together where anyone's going to have to say hi to a couple of them. It could be kind of bad for them.
It's a gamble. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to choose as the opponent. You're going to have to deal with it one way or the other.
Right. Exactly. Either you're going to have to throw some, meat shields at it and basically see what happens, but
Well, they don't get a free unit, so they have something. They have to make up for it somewhere.
they get potentially 3 heavy howitzers. Not that it's likely they'll get 3, but
And not the template, but the 3d6 hits.
yeah,
Yeah, the good
Yes.
Plus 4 pen
so much better than the template.
and
So
D6
gross.
pins. If we haven't touched on that,
So
There won't be much left after that, quite honestly.
Right. Exactly. I mean, even if a tank rolls up, right? Say you roll a medium tank, a heavy tank in there, even because it could hurt it. You roll a heavy tank in there, and you trip 2 of them. You might pin that tank out without ever damaging it.
Hell, I think if you hit one of them, you might be able to do it. If you just have to double immobilize it, it's gone.
Right.
Or start it on fire, basically.
Yeah.
Any of the results are good at that point. If you can get double immobilized in one shot, you're good to go.
that's right.
Yeah.
If you immobilize it, once it's immobilized, it's gone. That's
Right.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So
hey, I
that's-
didn't realize that.
Oh,
yeah.
Double immobilized was awesome.
Well, I guess I didn't pin out Jesse's truck last game. I actually destroyed it. I needed either objective, so
Okay.
These
All
are
right.
interesting.
Well,
so, do these feel appropriate for? I mean, it's a
God, yeah.
it's a generic kind of catch-all for partisans, but they were all this way, weren't they?
Yeah, and the army list is really going to catch on to that flavor too. But yeah, these special rules are great, I think.
they're not overpowering by any stretch of the imagination. They like you said, Jeff. They got a lot of flavor to them, and they certainly live up to what they're trying to do with the army.
Yep.
Now, I think, if they'd given, the French rule with the free artillery, I'd be like, yeah, I don't think so. So,
Yeah, that
would've
wouldn't
been a
fit.
problem.
That would probably not fit very well either. I do like that they have one kind of for each of the things. They have the like an infantry focused one, and then they have one that's kind of board control, which I think is kind of interesting.
Yeah, there's not a lot of denial play typically, unless you're running Gurkhas into a zone.
That'll make anyone's day kind of worse.
yeah. They are certainly very conditional for all their rules there. I mean, they're not. There's a chance that none of them could come into play in a game, and there's a chance that all of them could play a heavy hand in the game. So,
True.
they've all got circumstances to it.
I mean, I think the thing about hidden bombs and the beauty of it is that even if it doesn't work, it's still kind of you're playing a mind game with your opponent at that point. It's kind of a psychological effect. So, you're going to make your opponent have to think about it a little bit more than they probably should have to, because it's only, like you said, it's only a 1 in 6 chance.
It's a chance,
But
though.
it's still a chance, and
You know.
it will delete a unit when it hits them.
So
Right.
you're saying there's a chance.
Right.
It's a heavy howitzer chance, which is
Yeah.
Which is
Which
an
is-
awesome chance.
yeah.
Not something to mess with. So you're throwing little piddly stuff at it as much as as much as you want to throw away, basically order dice at that point.
Right, and you're certainly going to think twice about driving your tank through an otherwise easy area to go through, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can put it by the roads. You can do all sorts of fun stuff with that. I think
One thing I like about it is it can, every once in a while we'll play a game where you roll off for sides and your opponent wins the roll off and picks the superior side. This hidden bomb rule can kind of nullify what kind of advantage you might get from having won that roll off.
Yeah, I could totally see that happening. It does kind of help you get the upper hand, regardless of whether or not you get to pick sides.
Which I think is cool.
It's kind of what I was getting at with the protect flank kind of. You can basically lock down a piece of the board and dare them to go through it, which I think is cool. All right, I think we've got that one covered. I don't know if there's anything else about the special rules we want to talk about.
Well, they only have the 3.
They don't have 7?
They don't have 7. They don't have 4. They only have 3.
Just 3.
And they don't have Tiger Fear. Okay.
No Tiger Fear. No Partisan Fear. No free Tiger Tank or anything. So.
What? They get a Tiger Tank? Oh.
Yeah, free. It doesn't do
free.
anything. If it's a piece of terrain they can put on display board, that's what they get.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was going to say we'll get to the tanks in a minute. So let's go into HQ. You kind of are. I think it was you, Pat, that said they cannot have a major or captain.
Yep. So in the general selector that has taken out, which is I think the only list that this removed from, their officers they don't have a veteran option for their first or second Louis. Only inexperienced or regular.
Okay.
So, well, I guess you think about it, they're unorganized, right?
Sure, that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
Otherwise, they're their standard officer. They have what they call the liaison officer, which is basically an air observer. They do not have an option for an artillery observer. Something else that kind of makes sense, I guess.
Yep.
The other liaison officer is regular or veteran only, so there's no inexperienced option there for the air observer.
Which is good. You don't want him landing it on your guys. Not that actually makes a difference in the game, but
no, it doesn't.
Right.
They also don't have an option for a medic.
Huh.
So I guess leave them where they lie.
Well, that kind of makes sense from a standpoint that if it's kind of more guerrilla-ish warfare.
Right, it's the unorganized factor.
Yeah.
They don't have a standing army with all these, slots and positions and quartermasters and stuff behind them supporting all these roles. So they have to pick and choose what they have available to them.
Yep.
And that's
makes a lot of sense.
That's the headquarters.
Watch out! That was super in depth and exciting. Not really. It's pretty much the standard affair minus.
Actually, I think
things.
we gave their headquarters more than we did the last 2 armies. So,
right.
Which was they're the same as the rest. Let's move on.
Yeah, fair enough. Because they had all the selectors. These guys at least have a couple things missing.
Right.
Yeah. Well, just like our last one, we have. Well, let's just go through all the infantry since they have 6 selectors.
6 or 7.
Well, our infantry's unique though too. So.
It is unique.
Yeah. Let's start with the Partisan squad, the early war Partisan squad. I'm looking at these right now, and I'm realizing, holy guacamole, you can get a lot of these dudes.
Yeah, 5 to 20.
That's insane. Okay, come with rifles. Yay! They.
Yep.
Oh dear Lord, they can downgrade to pistols. Holy crap! You can have a 20-man squad of tough fighter.
Yep.
Oh boy, that's pretty gross.
For 140 points.
Yep. Or you can downgrade for a shotgun for -1 point, and you can do the same thing and still have a bit more range, which is interesting too.
Yeah, actually, this, I know a shotgun normally has the assault rule, but this one looks like it just says treat the shotgun just as an assault, as a regular rifle with an 18-inch range here in the book. Which is interesting. Like, it wouldn't give you tough fighter then.
Yes, I'd agree with that. That's what they're saying.
Well, the special rule is assault, which doesn't grant you tough fighter. That's right.
Yeah, well, in this case, I think
assault means you don't have the penalty for move, right?
Yeah.
And you also get tough fighter with
tough
assault.
Fighter comes with assault.
Yeah.
It would, but these shotguns don't give you assault.
Right, they're not they're saying they're treated as rifles.
Yeah, these are the old English kind of shotguns, the single shot breech action.
Right.
Oh, so it's just an 18-inch rifle.
It's like a hunting rifle or a hunting shotgun.
Yep.
Yeah, they should have called it something.
All right, Easy Army is off on that then.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm using Easy Army as well, and it actually is giving it the assault rule. Well,
yeah,
okay, so we'll go back to -3 points, which makes them 100 and correct me if I'm doing my math wrong. 140 for 20 dudes with tough fighter.
And they do not suffer any terrain penalties in the first round, which means they can get up to 12 inches on the first go.
That's pretty flippin' awesome.
And when you're shooting 6 inches with a pistol, which is now at point blank, woohoo!
Pretty flippin' awesome.
And they can start an ambush.
And there's freaking 20 of them. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and that's just one of your 5 choices in a single platoon.
Right.
I don't think I would do this, but it is interesting.
for 140 points, you have a 20-man squad that's going to be pretty hard to move.
If only they
They're
were
not
fanatic. Right. Well, they're also not Japanese. They're not the Japanese partisans. So
Right.
Right.
So, not that I think it's a good idea, but it's a good idea. You could totally run 5 20-man squads with pistols and a lieutenant.
That was something that I would do, actually.
That's 100 pistol-wielding tough fighters and a lieutenant.
Or you could just multi-platoon these bad boys and have a bunch of 5-man squads running around.
Oh, my God.
Why would you ever do that? That would be awful.
Boredom, maybe?
Yeah, boredom.
You'd have to buy like 6 packs of order dice.
You would have to have a lot of order dice.
You would have to paint all of those guys.
Think about how heavy that.
Well,
paint
you're
is.
talking about
200 dudes?
520, man. It's the same. It's the same number.
Yeah,
Same
right.
number of dudes, yeah.
One night you're playing 5 units of 20, and then the next night you're playing 20 units of 5.
Yeah.
There
Well,
you
I mean,
go.
even if you take some big units, you can take these really small units to bump your order dice up and keep those objectives on the back of the board or on your end or come in late, as a second wave and as your other guys push through. So you can have a couple big units and then a couple of small ones in behind.
Outflank at -1.
Sure. Well, I'm just doing the math here. So you can downgrade 4 dudes or 3 dudes. I wonder if you can downgrade an SMG or an LMG. Hold on. Sorry, I'm doing the math here.
What are you downgrading from?
Yeah.
Just downgrade from rifles. Where's the SMGs you're talking about?
I meant LMG.
Oh,
So for 58 points, you could have a 5-man squad with an LMG, which is not awful.
well, they're still inexperienced.
No, they're
Oh,
regular.
they're regular.
No, these are
sorry,
regular.
These are early war partisans.
Right.
Yep.
So you have 4 dudes with pistols and 1 dude with an LMG. So you'd have a couple little gun platforms, and you have some big ass units to kind of deal with things. It'd be interesting.
Hey,
Okay.
interesting.
It's
I don't know,
interesting in concept, I agree.
Yeah. There's a lot of choice. There's a lot of different ways you could play that.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Moving right along. So late war partisan squad.
Yeah. Good old late war partisan squad.
They get a little. They're the same 5 to 20, but now instead of worrying about those pistols, they found SMGs.
You could
and
give
it's an
all
upgrade.
of them SMGs at 3 points a model.
And a Panzerfaust.
And
One
Panzerfaust.
Panzerfaust.
One Panzerfaust.
Hey, there's 20 guys. One of you guys gets to have a Panzerfaust.
20 guys with SMGs, regulars. That's the
Jeez
stuff
Louise.
nightmares are made of.
Yeah,
the stuff
that.
Russians are made of.
Wow.
No, that's more than what the Russians are made of.
Wow, that's
I think the Russians cap at 12.
yeah, you're right. They
Right? Yeah, you can get a 20-man squad.
40 shots.
Is there a truck you can put 20 guys in? Because that would be awesome.
Well, probably not in this list, but the Americans have one you can put 20 guys
260
in.
points, but still, dear Lord. Oh, you got to have 265. You got to have the Panzerfaust. You might as well have it.
Yeah, I concur.
You should. Okay, that is. Oh, that's gross. I'm sorry. That's. Oh,
It's pretty cool.
it's totally gross. It's
Is
super
it feeling
good.
kind of hipster?
Yeah. SMGs are too cool for school.
Yes.
We could have them all like gangsters or something.
See, and they're partisans, so you totally could do that, though. And it wouldn't
Right,
be
you could-
wrong.
Like,
Little leather jackets and chains and stuff.
Well, not those kind of gangsters.
Oh, not
Yeah.
this. Oh, sorry.
He's talking about like the
Al Capone.
1930 Capone gangsters.
yeah, like the Prohibition
All
era.
with the Tommy guns and
Tommy
Yeah,
guns
yeah.
and top hats.
yeah, they got violin cases on the ground that they pop their Tommy guns out of and
Oh my
just lighting
God.
everybody up.
Desperado. What?
That would be really cool. That'd look really good.
Yeah, that would be. That's pretty. That would be really rad. Actually, that would be fun.
Okay, spoiler alert here, Dale, just because I like that idea so much. One of the 2 transport options they do have standard is a civilian car. So you could
I
absolutely,
saw that.
You could absolutely have like that mobster, like 4-door sedan with guys with submachine guns popping out of it.
You dirty rat.
And
Well, it'd have to
honest
be
God,
5 bros. How many guys can fit into the cars? At 4?
4.
For
What are you going to do with that freaking thing? That's so ridiculously stupid for this army.
So only
Considering,
the mob boss gets the.
yeah, you're Louis. You're Louis.
Louis
and
and
your-
his 2 bodyguards.
That's right.
Yeah. You got Al
And
Capone.
the liaison officer There you
Sure,
go.
yeah, he rides along.
Sure.
Yep.
I don't
right.
know. I think that's hilarious. There's
That
a
would
theme
be
there.
that would be a really cool theme, actually. And it would. I don't know. We'd have to go look at where that might actually have been possible. I don't know if that was actually really all that possible.
Well, I mean, sure, they wouldn't be Italian mob guys, but you could. I mean, okay, I forget this. Okay, so you don't have the book, but page 101 here has some pictures of some partisan guys, right? And the dude in the middle looks like he could have walked right off of the set of like Untouchables or something.
Probably big oversized trench coat and a hat.
Well, he's got that newsy cap on.
Yep.
You know, he's got the nice jacket with a tie. I mean, that dude. He seriously, he could be an extra in that movie. So yeah, you could do it. Maybe not play up the Italian accents quite as heavy. You know, if you want to fancily smoke a cigarette and be a French guy, or I'm not really sure what the Yugoslavian stereotype is, but I'll think of one.
You'd be a hipster gangster.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the models now because I'm like, I wonder what you could do with this.
Well, the other beauty of Partisans is you literally could put almost anything on the table and tell you it's Partisans, and you're not wrong. I mean, Partisans were commonly made of, soldiers from occupied countries, and either they would wear their old uniforms and parts, or they would wear civilian clothes, or whatever they scrounged off the enemy.
Sweet, yeah. No, that makes sense. It's kind of cool.
Actually, the next page in the book, sorry, just to go there, has a picture of the Polish Home Army as a reference. And I mean, one guy looks like he stepped out of the factory and he's got a flamethrower on his back. And there's a lady there, and she's clearly wearing a German Fallschirmjäger jacket, I think, poncho jacket. And I'm not sure what this kid has. He's got some kind of camouflage on. I'm sure he stole from the Germans, too. And the only thing that identifies them as a cohesive unit is they're all wearing an armband. So you could really have some fun modeling opportunity here. In fact, I'm bringing this in Thursday, and I'm going to shove this in front of Weber, Matt, who was not kind of down on bolt action because he didn't like the uniformity of everything.
Right, the aesthetics.
This would be right up his alley.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
I just sent you guys a couple of those pictures, those pages.
Oh, sweet.
So
yeah, I just got it. All right. Well, so
yay technology.
Right? Yeah. It's pretty. Oh, I got the second one apparently. Oh, that one's pretty cool.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. Not that any of you guys listening can actually see what we're talking about.
When
the
episode gets posted, we'll go ahead and put those up there on our Facebook.
Maybe we won't, considering there's somebody else's IP. So
we'll give the page number.
Sure, we'll give the book number and the page number, and you might be able to go find it on Google. Unfortunately, I'm a stickler for not posting other people's stuff because I really don't want to get a takedown notice.
Yeah, you notice one of us hasn't said anything.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if you Google Partisans and what's this series of books? Men-at-Arms series of books, and you just do Google image, you'll get these.
I'm sure Osprey probably has something too.
Because other people are less scrupulous than us.
I'm guessing everyone else that listens to our podcast probably has more books on these types of things than we do. So I'm sure that there's lots of resources for World War II uniforms and pictures. I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Lies and slander.
We're not cutting edge here? I thought we were like the tip of the spear or something.
Well, you sent me a picture of World War II stuff on my phone. That's about as cutting edge as we get. And we're talking on the internet about stuff, so that goes a long way.
Which, side note, when I was a kid, this would have blown my mind that we could do this. Just
right,
saying.
Right. I'm with you. I'm still kind of blown away by it. But anyway, so let's move to the next one because this is... Wait, yeah, we haven't covered the inexperienced partisan squad yet, correct?
No, we have not.
No.
Okay, let's go there next.
So this is basically the same options, bar one, as the early war partisan squad, except they're inexperienced. Otherwise, you can still take 20 of them. You could still downgrade them to pistols or shotguns, or 3 of them can have submachine guns, blah, blah, blah. All the same. You could also make them shirkers if you want to and take 3 more points off per model.
Actually, the FAQ nixed that.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
Yes, they did, because...
That would make them ridiculous.
That would make them redundant.
We're gonna move into that in a second.
I'm so sad, because that also meant if you added a guy at 7 points, gave him a pistol for -3, he's 4 points, made him a shirker at -3, he's 1 point.
Jeez.
Now
Oh,
I'm sad.
as it is,
So-
if you make a 20-man squad
could've
with
been
all pistols,
for 20 points.
they're 80 points.
So here's the FAQ verbatim here. Page 100, inexperienced partisan squad. Delete the option to make the inexperienced partisan squad shriekers, sorry, at -3 per model. Partisans cannot be, otherwise they simply would not have joined the partisans, would they?
Ooh, you didn't want 1-point models.
That's really what it is. They didn't want one
Somebody
models.
may have pointed that out.
That, oh my gosh, you think about the horde of an army that would be.
Oh my god.
So, other
Gross.
interesting fact to point out is that I have the Kindle version of it, and that update has already been in here. So that was clearly a typo that was caught in different printing. So depending on what printing you have to look at the FAQ.
You know, it's in my paper book, you know.
Yep.
I don't let the Matrix get me. I have paper copies of things.
So my version, the Kindle version, does not have that in there.
I feel really bad for the person that painted like 800 shirkers to
I've
just
got-
hoard an army.
950 and a lieutenant.
I've got 40 order dice, and they,
It's like that Nobler army.
Yeah,
The way he-
right, exactly.
The way he deploys is he just sets his 1 foot by 6 foot piece of plywood down on top of the board. I'm deployed. 'Cause
Yeah.
it covers the whole thing.
Well, the beauty of this game is there's no panic. So you kill a unit, you would move another unit on.
Jeff,
I'm glad
I feel
they
like
took that
totally
out.
took the wind out of your sails on that one.
Yeah, you really just broke me there, man. I was getting all excited for 1-point models.
Yeah, I was reading through this, and I noted that, and I looked at it, and I'm like, oh, that's going to be important to bring up.
Man.
Sorry, bro.
That would have been like the best horde ever.
Access.
But they're still tough
Denied.
fighters. That's what's scary about it. I mean, sure, they're
Yeah.
inexperienced shirkers, but they're tough fighters.
And there's so many of them. You couldn't get through them.
No. I'm still throwing 20 dice, you know, if I catch you in the open, and I need... What? I mean, like, I'm rolling on your wound, so I just need 4s to wound regular, 5s to wound.
So I did just do the math. If you wanted to do this, Jeff, you can still have 237 dudes with pistols and get yourself a lieutenant because you got to have one.
Oh, God.
You could have.
How many platoons do you need, though?
Ooh, that's so you need 11 units. So that would be
It's at least
three.
two.
It's
Three platoons.
Three. So you'd
So
have
let's
to find
cut
something
20
else,
off and do 2 platoons.
right? So you would still have 217 dudes.
Yeah.
You'd have 200 dudes because you'd be capped at the limit,
Yeah.
right? So you
200, 202 because I got 2 lieutenants. So 202 guys. Oh my god. No, hold on, because if you could still make them shirkers, that would be what?
950 of them.
No.
Oh,
So stick with the 2 platoons. So you got
Yep.
200 and 200. Oh my god, 100 points.
You would
apiece.
still have so many
150
points to spend.
150 points. That's 300. I have enough for a captured. Oh, but I can't capture a tiger. Shoot. I can
Right.
capture.
You need some indirect fire because you're not going to be able to see. You can't shoot through your own guys, so
Yes.
it's got to be indirect because
Mortar and
guys
a
are going to be in
howitzer.
the way.
Yeah, you'd have at least 2 howitzers.
No. So it's. Oh my god. You could have. So it's 2 platoons. You could have 2 captured panthers.
Panthers only armor 10?
9. Armor 9.
Okay, we're going to get into the tanks in a minute.
That's
so
good.
That's ridiculous. Okay, sorry. That's just
you
ridiculous.
still have 200 dudes on the table.
This is
Yeah.
GG. I mean, they're a tough fighter. It's done. You just have to
Done.
do all those dudes.
You'd have to mow through a lot of dudes, and that
I don't
Gurkhas
think
could
you
do
can
it.
in this game, though. That's just
Gurkhas
it.
could do it.
I don't think the
Maybe.
Gurkha
No,
has
the
enough
Gurkhas
order
would
dice.
die eventually.
He doesn't have enough order dice.
That is true.
And
Remember that when you're in close combat, it doesn't matter how big the squad is. It's the matter who has more casualties wins.
But I got 20 chances.
And chances are, you're probably not even running in. You're going to stop short and do point blank
Oh my god,
pistol
yeah.
shots.
Oh yeah.
Well, and on top of that, you're
Inexperienced is still 3s moved 4s.
no
Fours and
movement.
fives.
no
movement
move.
penalty on a
It's
pistol.
assault,
No,
dude.
okay,
They don't
there's
care.
assault, okay.
Fours, so
And no
10
long
hits.
range penalty either.
Yeah, 10 hits on 4s, and then, there's almost 2 casualties.
Right?
Oh god.
Wait, 4s? Is it 4s?
4s and 5s.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
This is a terrible idea, but I really want someone to do it.
Hey guys, don't do it. This seems like as we're going through this, my brain is just going, this seems really counterintuitive to what this army's supposed to be about. That's where I'm getting a little bit like...
But the thing is not necessarily, again...
Oh, and don't forget your bombs that you've put out, which is going to kill the Gurkhas before they even
But
get
not
close.
you. They're not going to get you. I guess what I'm getting at, like, yeah, totally downgrading to pistols makes sense, but were they really that much more... There were that many more of them than when whoever was occupying them?
Well, your occupying force is typically much smaller than the population at large. You just want enough to keep them under control.
But
sure, the invading force is
pins,
different.
These guys aren't doing anything, by the way.
Well, that's just it. And it's actually not entirely historically inaccurate because, like, the Warsaw Uprising or certain places in France where everybody gets that fervor of, hey, we're going to free ourselves, and they will pick up any weapon they can get their hands on. And, I mean, these are not trained soldiers at this point.
Mob mind.
Right? So it's not... I mean,
suppose.
it's every bit as historically accurate as an army of bamboo spear fighters.
Okay,
which I believe we touched on wasn't overly historically accurate.
Right, but it did happen. It's just not common.
Not all the time.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's...
God, that'd be ridiculous. Okay.
Yeah, moving right along. Let's not give anyone any ideas here. I think we already have.
I think we have, yeah. Next entry is
unfortunately.
guerrilla fighters, and that's gorilla, not gorilla. So
I was going to say, how do they train the guerrillas?
carefully,
Lots and lots of bananas.
very carefully.
They have cutouts of IDS build or of Empire State Buildings.
Yeah, right.
Sure, yeah.
And if the
Everything
gorilla
just
isn't a
looks like
tough
a building.
fighter, I'm calling shenanigans.
Right.
Shenanigans.
Tear your arm off. Oh yeah, he isn't.
Say it again.
He's
Say it
not.
again.
Shenanigans.
Dare ya. Sorry.
Oh, they can have submachine guns. So the gorillas can have submachine guns. So then they can be tough fighters,
Sure.
they're veteran.
There you go.
and they're veteran.
So
Tough
they're like-
fighters.
So they are
20 of
just
them.
veteran.
20
just-
veteran tough fighters with machine guns.
Well, they're stocked with rifles.
Sure.
Right. So they come with
But-
rifles.
Any of them can upgrade to SMGs, and they also got the anti-tank explosives if you really want to waste your points on those.
So for 320 points, you can have a 20-man squad of tough fighters with SMGs.
That's
Veteran.
also
Veteran tough fighters. With
Veteran
SMGs.
tough fighters, excuse me.
That
You're
are
right.
outflanking without the -1 penalty.
Right.
oh my god.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey,
Drop
Fins,
that
you
down
guys-
to 12 and drop them into transport.
Ah, you just gave it a 20. Like, hey, Fins, you're sending like 6 guys to my side of the table? That's nice. Here's 20.
Oh, and I'm in ambush because I'm hidden.
Yeah, and I got a whole bunch of guys in ambush, too, because I'm hidden. Oh, Lord. Okay, so those guys are very solid.
Yeah. They're pointed appropriately, but still.
Yeah, they're not 1 point a model.
Anytime you can get to 20-man squads, it seems redunculous. Like, it's just big.
And a veteran, that 20-man squad's going to be there for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're not
Not
going.
going
They're not
anywhere.
going away.
They're not going to
Also-
have a lot of anything else, though. But I think I'd rather have 20 veterans with SMGs than a Panther.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
Panther anyway.
Historical alert here. Also, if you gave... These are the squads. If you're ever going to give a squad anti-tank grenades, satchel charges, Molotov cocktails and such, this is the place they're most historically accurate for everybody to be carrying them. Because you really had to improvise how you took out tanks when you're a partisan force.
And you don't have tanks
Sure.
of your own.
Correct. You don't have
Yeah,
tanks
no.
of your own at the start.
Right.
We'll get to the tanks again. I said that once before. We'll get there eventually. Yeah, I so far the infantry's intrigued me, mostly because you can just take a boatload of dudes.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
Let's keep moving. All right, so that was guerrilla. This is cavalry squad.
Yep.
Nay, how do they train the horses to hold guns?
They were their horses. They took them from their farms.
Oh,
Yeah, their horses hold guns. Yes.
I was
there you go,
being
Rick.
clever. Sorry. Yeah,
Yes.
it doesn't work very well. We haven't been drinking enough.
Horse warriors.
They
That's,
trained
that's
the
more of a
gorillas
Friday
first.
night sort of thing.
The gorillas rode the horses.
Oh, geez, gorillas with horses with guns. Oh my gosh.
Didn't you see Planet of the Apes, man? Come on.
Oh, that's exact. Oh my gosh, we just wrote a movie that already exists.
Yep.
Gorillas and horses, oh my.
This is probably how it all started.
Probably. Someone was playing Partisans. They're like, oh my god, I've got to remake Planet of the Apes now.
I think that's a different podcast.
Yeah, probably.
Possibly.
How bad movies were made? What?
Well,
Could be.
we do have a Sharknado thing going on too. So
Yeah,
so
true.
this is
True.
this is only up to 10. You can't have 20 horses, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, that's too
Wah,
bad.
wah.
Any soldier
Can
can
you
have a
imagine
submachine
you
gun.
to 20
though.
horses? That would be ridiculous.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I used to play Empire. I had 20 horses.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a different game, guys.
Well, yeah, but not really.
Good
You're
point.
still putting
You want some
things on the
kids-
table, pushing forward and rolling dices.
Yeah.
I
You
don't
want
know
some-
that there's a purple sun in this game,
Yeah,
or dwellers for that matter.
that was
Heavy
that was
howitzer.
heavy howitzer.
I was gonna say that was
Yes.
more end war, Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's kind of purple sunish, yeah, wasn't it? Well then,
You're gonna give these guys submachine guns. That's
Great
awesome.
big purple sun.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
okay.
So yes, the cavalry, which they have their own special cavalry rules, which is awesome.
Oh, hey, check that out. They start with carbines. Special rule:
I
cavalry
was gonna say
carbines
that. Yep,
count as pistols when used from horseback. So they're tough fighters too.
on horseback, which you
When you're on
can't
horseback,
do. You
If you
can't
get-
assault from horseback.
But when you
well,
get
you can be
charged-
assaulted.
Yeah.
You can be charged.
You can be charged on horseback. Yes.
Do you get the range of a pistol, or do you still get the 24 inches?
No, it says counts as a pistol when on horseback and a rifle when on foot. So when you're mounted, your pistol ranges.
Right, so you move really close and you're point blanking, and then you dare them to charge you.
Yes, that's exactly what you do.
You're like, come on, I'm a tough fighter right now.
Come at me, bro.
Yep. We'd have to look at the rules for cavalry. I don't know that you don't jump off as soon as you get assaulted, but I'm not certain.
Cavalry, I believe they're less impressive in version 2 than version 1.
Yeah, these were a lot better. in
That's
version
that's a
one.
given.
I mean, they're no lancers out of the Polish army, which are, oh my god, disgusting. But cavalry's still not too bad.
Not too bad.
I mean,
No.
you get the movement, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so that's
And
that's your infantry anyway.
Yeah. You can also outflank with these guys, and they could be a fairly mobile submachine gun platform
Yes.
if you really wanted them to be.
Yes.
Be kind of interesting.
I can
But-
make it interesting.
Other than the other stuff, I think I'd rather take a 20-man squad of something instead of these guys, personally. But, so let's go through the stuff that we're...
One before you jump off there, I believe cavalry have the recce kind of rule to them, don't they?
They do.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Hang on, now I'm
Yeah.
going back to that first rule. Yeah. Do they
So-
count as partisan infantry or are they cavalry? So they're infantry squads and teams.
They're infantry. There's a regular infantry.
Because then that first turn they treat all rough ground and obstacles as open ground for the purpose of movement.
Yeah, I mean
On a
they're from
horse.
the infantry selection, so
Sure. So on
Yeah.
a horse, the first turn they ignore it.
18 inches.
Good horsey.
Nay, yeah. They know what they're doing.
Cool.
Wow. That actually adds a little bit to them, too. Makes them all... Yeah, that could make them good, too.
Yeah.
They recce, they can't go down.
Yeah.
Unless you got a really well-trained horse.
Oh god, I'm not even touching that one.
The down order, to
Yes,
clarify.
yes.
Yes.
Next entry.
That makes it better now.
Next entry. The as who does it? What does it? Fensky call this the crappier sniper rifle, the anti-tank rifle team. Yeah,
Yeah, they got those.
Who says that? Nick?
Fensky, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
he's like it's like a crappy sniper rifle. I was like, well, yes, it is that.
It makes a giant hole in something if it hits.
It wounds better than a sniper rifle, but yeah, it's not too far off.
It'll kill your Gurkhas nice and well.
One at a time.
It's a cheapish order dice.
Pretty cheap.
I'd never take it inexperienced.
Hey, and
But-
they've also got that outstanding anti-tank rifle, the Piat.
Pain in ass torpedo.
That's the one.
I would rather take boom. I can't make anything up for
The
bazooka.
bigger, blacker bombard.
Bazooka Joe.
No, the bazooka. I'd just rather take bazooka.
They have that option too.
They do
Yeah.
have that option. It's clearly a better weapon.
It is
Right?
cool. They get that.
Yeah. I was trying to come up with something as an acronym for bazooka, but there's too many letters.
There's a lot of
There's
letters,
Z in
yeah.
there, and I'm like, nah, it's game over.
20 points more, you get an extra 12 inches. Don't go
That's
too
what
far
she
with
said.
that one. So 12 inches of range, because the bazooka's at 24, and the glorious Piat, which I have yet to make function in my games, has 12 inches of futility.
We'll have to go back and discuss that because I think there's ways to make it work. I mean,
Well, it's Pat that we're talking about. He can't get a sniper to work.
or his artillery observer half the time.
I saw him
more
driving
than
a
half.
utility vehicle and get stuck in a hallway. So
Austin Power style.
Yep.
I played
Ouch.
Pat recently, and his sniper rolled a 2 every single turn of the
All
game.
6 turns, he rolled a 2 to hit.
that's talent.
And by
Yeah,
the last
no doubt.
2, Dale just didn't have anything left to say. He just kind of shook his head and just like held his hands up like,
I mean, I admired his commitment, but
It's funny because I actually had the same thing happen in my game against Kevin, where he was trying to sniper my mortar off the table and he just couldn't do it. Took him 4 turns to finally kill the damn thing.
I'd say the game before that, it was shot, kill, shot, kill, shot, kill. So, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if people can make flamethrowers work against tanks, a Piat should be able to work against tanks. That's my only point. Like they're kind of
It
one
works
and the
against
same.
tanks great. You just got to get real damn close.
Well, right. So I mean, the same with a Piat. You just have to be able to protect it long enough to get it up close. And I think this army might be able to do it with 200 dudes on the table.
Yeah, but they have a better option. They have bazookas and they have Panzerschrecks, so I don't know what you're fricking around with the Piat for.
Good point. Well, because
Flavor.
maybe your flavor, yeah, fluff.
That's a really bad flavor.
It's just
well,
British. They don't have the best food.
That's true.
Right. Careful. No hate mail.
That's fine. They can send me their food and tell them to show me it's good. I'll eat it.
Don't worry. we saved a special segment for Rick to apologize for everything we said later.
Yeah.
yeah, you're
No.
about to get a bunch of crisps of really unusual flavors, so I hope you're ready.
Yeah.
You
There's
know what?
that.
I got a sister living in Okinawa. I've gotten a lot of strange flavored crisps, let me tell you.
Oh God.
Wait, we're calling him crisps now? We're American, right?
Chips.
Well, yeah,
Talking
but-
chips,
crackers.
right? Yeah.
Well,
Wait,
potato
no.
chips.
Wait,
Chips
Right,
are
we're
different,
talking.
and
We were
crisps
we
are
were
what
offending the
it is.
British. I understand now.
Yeah, because crisps are chips and chips are like French fries or something.
Right. It's fish and chips and
Jesus.
yeah. Right. Got it. Okay. So
Right.
other selectors. Is there anything else? Like they have a light mortar, medium mortar.
Machine
Is there
gun,
anything in there to
flamethrower.
talk about?
They've also got a
Flamethrower.
sniper team, which may not be in Jeff's book because it was FAQ'd.
Yeah, it is not in my book. In fact, the Matrix did not catch up with me. There is no sniper team.
Yes, there is a sniper team that was in the FAQ, so they listed the same generic sniper team, 50 points that everybody else has.
Nice.
Makes sense
Yeah,
that they would
good
have
choice.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must have been the same guy that wrote the 1-point models into the army.
To be fair, he was getting awfully excited there. He's like, "Ooh, 20-man unit with machine guns. Ooh, 20-man unit with pistols." Yeah, you know.
What sniper? Nah, they're gonna be
No.
running. They're gonna be running 20-man squads for 20 points. There's
All
not
right.
a sniper.
You got time to sit and snipe anything?
Right.
Are flamethrowers usually 45 points, or is this one
No.
cheaper?
Usually
than usual?
50.
They're usually 50. Why is it 45 points? Somebody check
Core
the book.
maintenance.
There
Oh,
it is, yeah.
Handled by inexperienced, a
Ooh.
flamethrower is more likely to malfunction. When rolling to determine whether the flamethrower runs out of fuel, you will suffer -1 modifier to the roll.
1 or 2 then.
How many times have you ever shot a flamethrower more than once in a game anyway?
yeah. You kind of hold on to it until you absolutely want it where you want it.
Yeah.
I actually haven't even put one on the table yet.
I don't have one in my army book, so I
All right,
haven't either.
you're off the podcast.
I haven't.
I have
either,
2
so.
painted, but I haven't. We've been playing Early War for crying out loud.
I don't have one on my list. Otherwise,
I
I'd
don't
always have one.
They're not available.
Okay.
Which,
All
side
right,
note,
fine.
they should be in the list. I mean, it wasn't like France didn't use flamethrowers, so
Right.
They used in World War One.
exactly.
Did they like forget about them or
I
something?
guess.
Because
They
they
were
had the
still in
big
the
wall.
shed.
They had the big wall. There's no. They're not gonna. What do you mean they can go around it?
Can't go around it. It's like forests and hills there. It's not possible.
Right.
Belgium will stop them.
That'll do it.
Yeah. So they have machine guns, flamethrowers, light mortars, medium mortars. No heavies. They got no heavy mortars.
Nothing.
No
Nothing heavy.
mediums in their artillery, anti-tank gun, or anti-aircraft gun either.
It's all light artillery. Yeah.
Basically, if you can
Yep.
drop it from a plane or wheel it into a shed yourself, you can have it.
Pretty much.
Right. So you got to be able to push it yourself. No. We have horses to put dudes on, but not to pull shit around.
No. I mean, if you're like got a horse limber team up and a medium gun, and like people can start asking questions.
It's gonna look a little suspicious when you're trying to sneak around.
No,
Like,
no.
we're not fighting anyone. Why?
This is
Well,
this is
that's,
the potato
World
gun.
War One
It's a
reenactment.
potato gun.
For shooting potatoes and
I
planting.
like the
them.
reenactment part. That's good.
Pumpkins.
That'd be perfect.
It's
Just
our
World War
fall
One
harvest.
reenactment.
It's our pumpkin chucker.
Jesus.
Yeah. Okay, so then we go into tows. We just basically hit one of them, which was the horse-drawn limber.
Well, yeah,
and we have a truck.
That's a late edition too. That's not even in my book either. So.
Oh, well, I think everyone ended up with that.
Yeah.
I believe.
The general purpose truck that'll move 12 people, and the civilian car that'll move 4.
4.
Can you have a train of the civilian cars to put a whole 20-man squad inside it?
No, you can't split them amongst
can't.
vehicles.
You
Unfortunately,
can't split them.
That would be awesome.
That would be really cool.
It'd be a little more. I think they should actually. That should have been one of their special rules. That would be a little more
like
practical.
a motorcycle squad, except it's a car squad.
Or like
Right.
a funeral procession. Your first one's a hearse, and then there's 3 more cars behind.
And then they all jump out and
Totally
The first one's the
agree.
hearse with a partisan bomb in it.
Oh man!
Like dump
Now you just gotta have the
caskets
cars
full of
just-
guns.
There you go. Just wheel it out and pop it open.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pallbearers drop the casket and
And
crack
take out
it
the medium
open.
howitzer.
Yeah.
The medium.
Yes,
Not the
there you
light?
go. That's where they smuggled something somewhere. You can't leave that in the open.
Right.
Oh God.
I got nothing.
Okay. Yeah, I don't either. That's okay. So that's where Easy Army ends at that point.
Huh.
But wait, there's more.
Billy Mays rule.
Captured vehicles.
Bum bum bum.
Yeah, exactly.
Any German or Italian vehicle, armor value 9 or less, you can capture and use.
As inexperienced, and
Have
only
to take it
if
inexperienced.
and only if it has an inexperienced option in the army entry.
Yes. And it's unreliable.
So it means they're not getting the panther or the tiger.
Oh, that's right. No inexperienced Panthers. Well, they couldn't take the Tiger anyway, but no inexperienced.
So you pay
Panthers.
the inexperience points level, and then it gets the unreliable rule.
Yeah. Semovet 9070. That'd be kind of fun.
I was actually looking at. Well, so now
What's
this
the,
gets into a weird
the
spot
gas?
where
Russian, unfortunately.
Little 5 mmg. Oh,
Yeah.
So
it's Soviet
nope.
and what else?
No
No,
Panzer IIIs.
it's only German and Italian.
German and Italian.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And furthermore, all armored vehicles with the damage value of 7+ are unreliable. So if you have I don't know what armored vehicle is less than 7+. I don't think any of them are. But they actually specify 7+. I just figured I'd throw it out there.
Yep.
did the
Get a
did
Whirlwind.
the Panzer the Puma? It's not a Puma.
But
Not
still
having
se-
any experience. No,
Something
you could take a
has-
Puma for 128.
Something big in the German list has inexperienced. I'm trying to remember what it is.
Um,
Now I gotta
mouse?
pull it up.
the mouse.
Armor value's
Ferdinand?
too high.
It definitely rules out the Panzer IIIs, I know for sure.
Oh yeah, the Ferdinand's huge.
But
You could take. Well, so here's the question I have, and this is something we're not going to be able to answer because I don't know that it's been answered. If you capture a German tank, does it give you Tiger Fear?
yeah.
Okay, then I take a Panzer IV Offg.
I think that's in the FAQ, and I think it did.
Okay,
It's the tank that's doing the Tiger Fear, not the fact that there's Germans in the tank doing the
right.
Okay,
Doing the
side
Tiger
note,
Fear.
you could take a Stu H-42 inexperienced. That's the German one with the medium howitzer in the hull.
Are you also capping that at the 9+
there you go.
armor
That is
too?
a 9+ medium.
Okay.
Yeah, the Panzer IV
Is that open topped or no?
No, it's not open topped. It's basically a Stug with a howitzer.
So you wouldn't. I mean, you could fire it indirectly, but you don't have the spotter. But still, that's not bad.
Well, you just drive that up and flatten stuff with it.
Yeah, you're not exactly as concerned with it being completely enclosed in 9+ armor.
Right. Let me see what.
Well, that
What
Tiger
about a
Fear
Hetzer?
is not FAQ'd anywhere
Hell
as
yeah,
far
you
as the
take a
partisans are
Hetzer.
concerned.
I still think I take the Panzer IV Offg.
You can argue that both ways. I mean, the partisans maybe don't know how to use it well enough, so they're pointing it in the wrong direction, so it doesn't look as fearful.
Sure. I mean, or you're
technically-
facing Germans, and they're like, "Yeah, we know what it is." Right.
Could be.
Oh, God.
You're right. I don't know if we can answer that right off.
Oh, God.
We might have to figure that out because we do have a partisan player.
I think
so.
Jeff's got some Tsubaki coming.
I just had an epiphany and I need a towel. Opel Blitz,
Drooling?
Flak 38, 4 light autocannons, inexperience, 90 points. It's soft skin, so you don't even get unreliable.
Oh my God!
40 points. But you got 4 light autocannons is 90 points, so 130 points for the 4 autocannon option.
That's awesome.
Ooh, yeah, and you just rely on your hidden bombs to blow up tanks.
Number of dice you're throwing.
Well,
that autocannon will still put pins on anything that's
Anything.
Very basic.
It's not veteran.
Pretty much.
Right.
Autocannon's +2, so yeah.
You're hitting it, but you're only hitting it once. Because it's a template. It's not just dice.
Still pinning.
Or am I thinking the wrong thing here?
Well, it's 4 templates, but it's still a single pin on
It's
a single
technically
target.
8 templates with 4 autocannons because it's 2
Autocannon's a
templates
D2.
each.
It is
Pin?
D2 pins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not doing a lot of pins, but it will melt. It will melt certain things.
Well, boy,
Like
if you catch an
infantry
armored
Gurkhas.
car or a light tank,
Everyone
even,
wants to melt the Gurkhas. I don't understand.
or
Well, they're the best infantry in the game.
Right.
As
Oh my
opposed to
So if it
the,
melts Gurkhas, it melts anything else.
the Gurkhas will still break if they fail an order check and they get to half.
sick and wrong.
Some fanatics will stick around until there's just one dude left and he shrugs his shoulders and walks off the field.
So you said. So I'm sorry. Germans and Italians.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. We haven't covered Italians yet. We will probably cover them in the near future.
I think they have an audible Blinda.
But you'll notice all 4 of us went directly to the German tank selection as soon as we.
No, I did offer the Semovet 7090.
All right. Okay.
Let's see what. Or maybe the 9053 is what I'm thinking of. Hell yes, it's inexperienced. Oh my god. Samovet 9053, inexperienced at 180 points. Armor 7 plus tankette, 1 forward facing hull mounted super heavy anti tank gun. That's an HE 3-inch plus 7 pen.
Super heavy?
Super heavy.
Hey, there we go. Another army with super heavy.
In a weird little tank.
It's barely a tank. Tankette.
What's the
Right.
points?
That's really interesting.
180 inexperienced.
What does that model look like?
It looks kind of like a stug that fell out of the ugly tree.
Wait, that one
No,
didn't?
scratch that. This is the 9053. This looks like a wesp that fell out of the ugly tree. So it's open topped.
Okay.
Ooh, it's open topped.
Yeah.
At
I don't
180
even
points.
know
That's
if anyone
180
thinks this.
points.
It's a super
That's-
heavy anti-tank gun.
Those are tough to come by. +8 is really, really nice.
If you're bringing everything else we're talking
Super
about, you
heavy
don't
is plus
need
7,
to
actually.
care about it.
Yeah. I mean, that
Sorry.
would punch the hole in just about anything. God,
Which one
that is
was
an
that? I'm
ugly
sorry.
Vehicle. That's the Semoventi 9053. Sorry for my
Okay.
Italian listeners.
Yeah, it's
I can't-
tough, though, because it's inexperienced, so it's -1.
Let me see if I can get a picture of it. I'll put it in the link here so you can see it.
You know what? Most times you're rolling, you need to hit a 6 anytime. So,
Here,
Well,
Whoa.
with it being open-topped and
There's a
only
list.
7 plus
Lord.
armor, you're going to sit and hide it until it's in the optimal firing position as a tank hunter, essentially.
Yeah.
put it in hard cover of some kind,
Mm-hmm.
and you dare someone to drive their tank anywhere in its range.
Yeah.
Or a squad of infantry, because a 3-inch HE is nothing to sniff at.
Oh, that's true.
This thing is ugly.
Oh my god, yes. I told you, it fell out of the ugly tree.
I wouldn't even call this a tank. You have to be outside the tank to shoot the damn thing.
You do?
You're like standing on the back of this thing. You're not like
No, you load it from the back and then you get off of it.
right.
The barrel
whole reason-
is almost as long as the chassis.
Yeah.
It looks longer or about the same length. Yeah.
hey,
it's like
it could start an ambush.
yeah, it's gonna have to.
It's going to have
It
to. Is
could
that
start
ugly?
hidden in ambush.
Yeah, you're
Right.
apparently it's ugly. It doesn't want to start hidden.
I think that's cool looking, actually.
Right. The only reason it's even a tank is because they need that much wheel power underneath it to move the damn barrel.
Yes.
That's
It
all
looks
it
like
really
if
is.
the gun fired, it would pop the turret right off the back of it.
It really does.
Or it does a really big wheelie. Like just all the guys inside are like, hold on, we're shooting the gun.
They have to
And
drive
go
it.
about
They have
10
to
feet
slam it to forward just before they fire, just to make sure.
to correct for it. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
1,
man.
2, 3.
I mean, if their reverse gear ever stops working, they just have to fire the gun. It's going to freaking
Just
go backwards.
Fire it down and it just keeps moving it backwards.
Pop it in neutral. We're going to go backwards.
The biggest problem is they still have to get out to load a new round.
What was
Like,
that, the A-team, when they actually fired the gun to, like, fly the tank?
Oh my god!
Do you remember that stupid scene?
Oh, I do remember that.
That's what just made me think of that.
To maneuver it over the lake.
Wait a
That's
minute,
right.
is he flying the tank?
Oh, now let me see, because there's something else in their army list that's sort of like that, but it's on a truck. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, what was it called? Is that it? No. There's a version of this that's on a truck. The super heavy anti-tank gun on a truck.
There's a light anti-tank gun on a truck.
Is this German or Italian?
Italian.
The Sarina can get MMG, a rear-facing MMG, pintle-mounted MMG. You can add one of the following. You can have a pintle-mounted MMG, an anti-tank rifle, light automatic cannon, or a light anti-tank gun. So you can have 2 MMGs and a light anti-tank gun. Something. Oh, no, I'm sorry, you can't because it's inexperienced. Never mind.
Yeah. Damn, I know there's a version of this someplace. It's a 9053 and it's on a truck. But I'll be doggone if I remember where. I know it exists. It basically looks like a pickup truck with an 88 mounted on the back. And that's effectively what it was.
I'm not seeing it, but we'll cover it in more depth when we get to the Italians.
I'm going to find it by the time we get to the Italians.
Right, I'm not seeing it in any of the selectors that I have, but
well, it's possible there's not rules for it, but it exists.
Okay. In history, it actually exists, but they may not have put it in.
Oh, found it. It's under AA truck, so anti-aircraft truck. Right? So it's inexperienced, 40 points. Replace the light automatic cannon with a super heavy anti-tank gun and stabilizer jacks for plus 150 points.
Wait, so which one is it?
It's called the AA truck. That's its army listing.
What? Where is that inside?
That would take care of an anti-aircraft.
Oh, there it is, AA truck.
Yeah. One light automatic cannon is what's standard, but you can replace
40 points, and then another 150 for 190.
Super heavy anti-tank
stabilizer
gun.
jacks. What the hell is it going to do for you? I guess not blow backwards.
Yeah, I was going to say, keep the truck from flipping over.
Right, like we were talking about with that tank.
It's soft skin, so it would not be unreliable.
It's only 190 points. It's actually more expensive than the other tank.
Yeah, but it's not unreliable.
Fair, okay.
And it looks cool as hell.
Does it really? What does it actually look like?
Hang on. Let's see if I can get a picture of that sucker for you. Oh my god. I clicked on a link on the internet. Oh god. Okay.
Danger.
All right.
Don't
so far,
break
I haven't
the internet.
gotten a virus from this, so I'm going to send it to you. And it's about,
We're all going to get it.
It's about 4 down or so. You'll see a truck with this big friggin' gun on, 4 posts down.
Now I know why you were worried about clicking on it. The URL Jeff sent us is sadmuppets.org.
Nice.
Not .com or .net, but .org. So it's actually an organization of sad Muppets, I take
so.
it. I just went right past it, I think.
It looks like it's it's on a platform.
Mm-hmm.
Nice little 360.
It's got the flak rule, yeah.
Sure.
It's got stabilizer jacks.
I do like the stabilizer jacks on this.
Yeah. So it's the equivalent of a German 88.
Basically, yeah.
Dear Lord. On a truck with not a horde of 20 dudes surrounding it, like the 88, but
this thing can drive off, too.
Yeah.
Right?
There's nothing about it not being able to move and shoot that thing.
Yeah.
It depends how realistic you put in how long it takes to stabilize your jacks down, but, whatever.
Yeah. Let's not get too hung up on that
Let's
kind of
not get
shit.
too hung up in real world stuff. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that.
Right. Like the actual functionality of something like this.
If it fires on the move, it scatters D6 inches away from where it fires.
And the truck also slides D6 inches.
Yeah.
Roll to see if the truck rolls.
Well, no, it should just move D6 inches back from the direction it shot.
Except
just guaranteed it's going to slide.
Roll the truck.
Yeah, there you go. You take a turn to flip the truck back.
I'm sure
over.
that never came up in their test gaming.
I think this thing can move and fire.
I don't see why I can't, sadly enough.
Oh my god.
Advance order, go.
Hit it again, it can start in hidden. Can it start in
Yeah.
hidden?
Yeah.
Can vehicles start in
any
hidden?
unit.
You could start hidden ambush.
Hidden ambush.
All right, yeah, hidden ambush, yeah.
Drink.
That sounds like fun.
There's a surprise for you.
Hell, I might take that in an Italian army for 200 points at regular.
Right?
Yeah, the 10-point deduct. Look at that. Ouch.
Sadly, the company that is posted in that sadmuppets.org link doesn't sell the model
Must be why
anymore.
the Muppets are sad.
They don't have their AA gun anymore.
Just like, I really wanted this thing. Nope, you don't get it. That's really sad. I was like, oh, that's a good little buy. Nope,
Someone
doesn't
has
exist.
to make it, or you can kit bash. Let me see what that truck look like.
Dear Lord, that looks like a pain in the ass to
No.
make. Actually, like the model that they have there is
No, you
actually
can start with
looks
like the
great.
Boffer's truck or something out of there.
I would start with you could make a decent version out of a. What does the front end kind of look like? An Opel Blitz, and you cut the
an
back
Opel
off
Blitz. Get the stabilizers
broke
somewhere.
back Opel Blitz.
Those look easy enough to make. Can you get that gun on a platform?
Sure, you get a 60 mil disc and you mount an 88 to it.
It's essentially what it is. You're right.
Yeah, you could do that. You could
Yeah.
totally do that.
You just get the right dudes to outfit it, and you're good as golden.
Ridiculous. I like
Yeah.
it. It's a bad idea, and I love it.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting. There's a couple good like little tidbits in there. I'm sure somebody will make a 200-man army with 2 of those stupid guns in it. We'll all
We'll love
complain
it.
about how gross that army
We'll
is.
love it.
Embrace it. You might as well go for it. Do it if you want. If you paint 200 dudes, I will commend you for painting 200 individual partisans. If you don't paint them individually, then I'm kind of out.
Yeah, I was hoping Perry made it, but it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, maybe we can get our guy Mad Bob or what's the other one that everyone buys every resin
That
tank from?
Waffenkammer?
No, the one Trenchworks. There we go.
Trenchworks,
That's
yeah.
what I was thinking of.
Trenchworks, that'd be awesome if they made it, but
Well, they make some of those other oddball German
They do.
ones that are good. Who knows? I don't know if Trenchworks even makes Italian yet.
probably not. There's not a huge market for it. Okay, so Perry's 88 comes with the cross jacks, which would work just fine if you kit bash them onto a 60 mil disc. So you just need the truck part now. Oh hell, Perry
Okay.
makes a Semovente 9053, that one we were looking at before.
So you just cut it. You just kit bash those two things together.
No,
Well, no, that's the track
that's
one.
the tracked one that looks like it goes
Oh.
backwards when it pulls the trigger.
Oh, right. That's you're right. That's
But still, Perry makes that. That's awesome.
someone has to make
I
it.
sure think so.
Well, it's not a good sign that they don't have. Yeah, they don't have Italians listed as an option as far as World War II stuff. I'm looking at Trenchworks.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the point is someone could make that and it would be flipping awesome.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Wink, wink.
Somebody should make that. Because eventually one of us will make a partisan
Pretty
army,
much.
I'm sure. Probably Dale, because he's got the patience to paint 200 models.
Maybe
Maybe.
I'll play test it with rats or nobblers.
There you go.
You already have, is kind of the point. You've basically played this army in 2 different games, or the 2 different armies already.
Suspending the belief when you're facing off with a bunch of rats instead of actual dudes with guns.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's
I
that.
found the truck body. Perry makes a Fiat SPA AS37 Saharino. Looks just like a pickup truck. So you take that, you cut the bed off, you put that jack mounting on the back, and you'd have it.
Is it big enough? Because this is more of an Opel Blitz than a pickup truck.
Well, you might be able to just extend the bed.
Yeah, at that point, I
Back
think you could
further.
probably extend the bed. More importantly, the front cab looks right.
Okay.
That's the cab, because an Opel Blitz is essentially just an extended bed pickup
Right.
truck. It's not really anything special about it, other than I think it had 4 wheels in the back anyway. So it's the only difference is that it had a bunch of extra
Right.
wheels. Well, we could probably go down this.
Yeah, sorry,
this
we'd be on this
vein
rabbit
of
hole
thought
for
all
hours,
night long.
I think, so sorry.
We could,
No,
dedicate an episode to it back in on number 32 or something.
I get all excited when I see a good
Different
kit
things you can do with the Opel Blitz.
Right? Yeah, well, that could be an episode in itself. You could probably, drive dudes around in it or drag a thing behind it or put some dudes in it. That's about as much as you can do with an Opel
No,
Blitz.
you can put some machine guns on it.
You can put one machine gun on it, I believe. I don't think you get that much. We're not that cool.
Well, we're talking about kit bashing here, so.
Yeah, right. You could do other things with it,
right.
You're right. Yeah, not that, why would you? Why would you want to?
because it's awesome.
I will talk about that in another episode. I think that's all we have for tonight. We're going to continue to look down this rabbit hole long after we've stopped recording. I'm sure Jeff is already putting together his 950-man partisan squad that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. Just rage quit like half of them into the trash all of a sudden.
Yeah, I stopped being sorry about that, by the way.
No, don't be sorry. Yeah, don't be sorry about that one. That would have
1 point
sucked.
dudes, are you kidding me?
1 point
Yeah,
tough
back
fighting
there.
dudes.
Yeah, how do you come back from that?
You wouldn't get through a turn. That's the first problem. Is that
You'd
just
set
be
up and
bored.
be like, okay, time's called.
Oh, no, I can
Done.
I can play really fast when I need to.
No, that's when you bring out the 12-foot board. Yeah, the 12-inch by 6-foot board, and you just set it down and say I'm deployed. Your display board is your deployment. Just put it all down on one big shot.
What kind of a display board could you have? I mean, 1,000 guys is the whole space.
It's going to be a bookshelf. It would have to be. I don't know what else you would do.
Either. Good Lord.
Yeah. So, but we're not going there because no one's going to be able to do that. It doesn't exist anymore. So, with that, I think we'll call it a night, and you guys have a good couple weeks until we talk to you again.
Sweet.
Have a good night, guys.
Peace out.
Sounds good. This is Snafu, over and out.
Good night, guys.
someday.